Welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast, a trade deadline special episode here on the PHLY Phillies podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. As always, we are presented by our friends over at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use that promo code up on the screen there, PHLY365. Deposit just $10, place your first bet for $5, and you'll get $150 back in bonus bets, whether your bet wins or loses. You can find out why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Hello to you all and welcome into our 2-hour Major League Baseball trade deadline special. We are just under an hour away from the official trade deadline. Phillies have made 2 moves so far, separate moves with the Minnesota Twins. Yesterday, making the big splash, acquiring fireballer closer Jhoan Duran from the Minnesota Twins in exchange for Mick Abel and catching prospect Eduardo Tait. The second move that they made was today. Harrison Bader comes to Philadelphia in exchange for outfielder Hendry Mendez and pitcher Jeremy Valoria. We're going to get into all of those moves, all of the moves that have been made, the ones that maybe haven't been made yet and could be made in the next hour. And then we'll talk about teams that maybe were sellers that we were surprised were sellers, buyers that we were surprised that were buyers, and we'll do it all over the next 2 hours here on the PHLY Phillies podcast. With me today, it's not just myself and Andrew Frazier, like it normally is. Andrew's here producing the show. We'll talk to Andrew in just a little bit, but hello. I am happy to be joined as well by my friends VG, Violations Greg, and Rich Hoffman. Gentlemen,
what's up? What's up, man?
Just an hour away from a trade deadline that I feel like we have talked about for months.
The day feels like it flew by.
Sure did.
I mean, I've been on my phone constantly. I've lost track of time, and suddenly we only got an hour left.
So the 2 moves that get made, yesterday the big splash, today the smaller move, the right-handed bat. Let's start with yesterday's move because I think it's the one that a lot of people are, clamoring to talk about, and it's the one that I think impacts the Phillies in the most sizable way, and it's the acquisition of Jhoan Duran from the Twins. I said on Anthony's show with you, VG, and I said this on the emergency pod yesterday, the biggest takeaway I get out of this, other than the fact that the Phillies now have an elite level arm in their bullpen, is for the first time in the Rob Thomson tenure, they have an established closer. And I think that for somebody who believes in high leverage and getting outs when they're needed, and I don't believe in having a closer unless you have that dude, they have that dude now. And I think that means a lot to this team.
Finally, right? I mean, we've been waiting forever. Now everyone slots down. I think you brought that up on our show too. Everybody slots down.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to worry about Romano in the 7th or 8th. He's a 5th inning guy now.
Did you guys hear, by the way, yesterday, Rob Thomson was talking about, he was running through all the roles because the reporters, after the Duran trade, all the reporters were asking, okay, like, how does your bullpen set up now? And he's running through all the names, and we can get to what the pecking order sort of looks like with them. But for Romano, he's like, well, he's a guy that can get outs once in a while with people on base. I was like, man, that was a polite way of saying, like, he's not going to be a big part of this.
How the mighty have fallen. They bring this guy in for, what, $8.5 million, was expected to be the closer, kind of by default. And yeah, you didn't get the warm and fuzzies listening to him talk about and Rob Thompson's not a guy that throws his players under the bus. That was about as much of throwing a player under the bus as he possibly could.
Rob Thompson is so mild-mannered and polite.
He's so Canadian.
And not going to put his players on blast.
Right.
Which, again, that frustrates me at times, but overall, I think that's the right way to go about it. But yeah, that was like, I mean, they should have put like the hit 'em up beat over that. That was bad. Anyway, so I think VG is absolutely right, though. Having a guy, and Tyler, like you mention this all the time. Like if you listen to the PHLY Philly show, you always say, like, look, I believe in how Rob Thomson mixes and matches and just tries, like, the next 3 outs are the most important.
Yep.
Like, do that. And there have been series, frankly, I would say both of the Braves series when they won the NLDS against super hot offenses. I feel like that approach has worked out really well. And there have been other times where it hasn't, and that's baseball, right? That's how that works. But the thing that you always say is that if you have a bona fide lights out closer, so that's whether the Phillies developed one or acquired one, then by all means, trot out a closer, have somebody for the end of the game. They didn't really have that guy, and now they clearly do, because this guy has got a huge arm. He's done it for basically his whole career. Not as much that first year, but 2.5 years has done it. Now he's not done it in the media market of Philadelphia. Sometimes the bright lights can get to people, but I think if you were looking for this type of player this type of high leverage reliever, that was the best guy you could get.
Is this the best true closer the Phillies have had since Jonathan Papelbon?
I would go even further than that. Is this when's the last time that the Phillies had an elite closer and a good team at the same time?
Sure. This is what we're comfortable with Lidge. We had rolls there. We had a nice bridge to Lidge. This is what we're comfortable with. This feels good. It feels right. It feels like we've been jonesing for this for a decade.
So this to me now signifies that Dave Dombrowski, at least it did yesterday, Dave Dombrowski recognizes what the window looks like. The window I think that we've all talked about is kind of on par with Zach Wheeler's career and the presumed end of his career at the end of 2027, which tells you that the Phillies now have a 2.5-year window. And on top of that, guys, if he says 2027 and there's no baseball in 2027, which could be a very real thing, now you're talking about an even more finite window for this team. So that move to me signified the team's understanding of the gravity of the situation of their bullpen, and knowing that they were probably an arm short going into the season. Yes. They were 2 arms short when Alvarado got suspended. They were still at least an arm short, even bringing in David Robertson. And now what they're allowed to do is have Duran be your legitimate closer. Your lefty slot Strahm in the 7th and 8th, Banks in the 6th and 7th. Your righty slot Kerkering in the 7th and 8th, Robertson in the 6th and 7th. And then you have some flexibility with guys like, is it going to be Jesus Luzardo? Is it going to be, does Taijuan Walker make the roster, right? Like, does Max Lazar make the roster? Now you have a little bit of flexibility in the real low leverage spots because you went out and found yourself the elite level arm that will stabilize the back end of your bullpen.
Totally. I need you to explain something to me as a baseball head. What is a splinker?
A splinker is a made-up word that is a combination between a splitter and a sinker, and effectively what I've gathered from it is splitters traditionally have that vertical bite, right? That downward spiral. So the way that I've always heard had a splitter described to me, and it's hard to see without a ball, but you're supposed to take your fingers and basically split the baseball, right? And then what you're supposed to do is almost shoot it like you're trying to. Do you ever take a seed from a piece of fruit, like a watermelon seed or something, and try to like sling it with your 2 fingers?
No.
All right. Anyway.
No.
Wait.
Yeah, is
this a common thing?
Nah,
what are you talking about, Tyler?
On the Zulli household.
Well,
We're just shooting seeds at each other.
Yeah. Did you ever do it with sunflower seeds? We used to do it with seeds too. No. Yeah, in the dugout, you just like shoot, they come out like a rocket. So anyway,
Zulli household. They're just ducking for cover.
I got a pistachio. Look out.
It was a very competitive household I grew up in. But anyway, basically what you're supposed to do with the splitter is the thumb pushes through and the fingers kind of come in like together, and that's what gets the downward movement. When you throw as hard as Duran does, when you throw as hard as Skeens does, and you have a little bit of, what would it be, glove side movement, right? I'm trying to think arm side movement, excuse me. So trying to throw that sinker that has that, if you're a lefty, it comes back this way. If you're a righty, it comes back this way. You have a little bit of arm side movement. So it's a heavy splitter downward action, but with a little bit of like sinker 2-seam backup too. So it really only works if you throw as hard as Duran or Skeens does.
Okay.
Because then if it's not, you're just kind of leaving something out.
So when I see stats on his splitter, that's stats on his splinker?
I would say they're relatively the same pitch, yeah.
Okay.
Part of it is I wonder if you just need to be cool as Skeens and Duran to just be able to call it a splinker.
Yeah, right.
But I will say the pitching ninja, he had an overlay video last night of the fastball, which is 101.
Yeah.
I think his velocity has decreased over the past few years, so it's only 100.2 miles per hour average now.
Oh, is that all? Oh, sorry.
Seriously, he's losing a little bit of gas. It's probably a good thing too. We
Yeah.
don't need to be throwing 104, which he has in his career.
100 on the 4-seam, 97.5 on the splitter, 87 mile an hour heavy curve for 21% of his pitches.
Well, they had the overlay though in one of the videos where the fastball just goes completely straight. And then the splinker drops, but the splinker is 3 miles an hour slower, and you have no idea what it is until the ball's about halfway to the plate.
Arm action.
So yeah, I mean, like, it's just, as a hitter, good luck. And I think that's why you see, you mentioned some of the stats yesterday, Tyler, like great strikeout guy. That's nice. We like that. But also keeps the ball in the yard, like really insane ground ball rate. And that's, I think that pitch is the big reason why, right?
99th percentile ground ball rate, 65.9%.
It's
ground
crazy.
ball rate.
And it's a knuckle curve?
That's up for interpretation. I think it depends on how the knuckle curve versus the curve really comes down to the grip.
Okay.
There's a million different ways to throw curveballs. Like I've always kind of had a curve. The knuckle curve idea is basically pointer finger, kind of more dug into the side of it and snap it down. Whereas you could throw the curveball a million different ways, but it's like some semblance of C shape pull down on the seams. The other thing with Duran that I think is important is that he still has 2 years of arbitration left.
Yeah.
And he's making like 4 and some change this year, I think, which means, and Andrew and I were talking about this yesterday, like even if he doubles up next year, your elite level closer's making $8 million. You know who else is making $8 million this season? Jhoan Duran.
Yes, I do.
So you're talking about a guy who, even if he doubles up his money in arbitration, which he very likely could, because he might win his arbitration case.
I would hope so.
He's going to make the same amount of money approximately that Jordan Romano is making this season.
Perfect. Let's free up some money. We got Schwarber to sign. We move on from Castellanos, and they got a ton of money next year. Right? Sounds easy.
Interesting you bring that up because you talk about trading Castellanos. Rich before the show was talking about the theory of trading Castellanos.
I love Nick the baseball player.
I agree.
Insane.
I totally agree. I love Liam. I love the whole family. I love it all, but he's frustrating.
His quotes in that Jeff Passan piece about Manfred being like, why are you bringing up divorce, man? You just don't you don't say that type of stuff, man, or whatever. Anyway, I get a real kick out of him, but the fact that every time the Phillies have tried to get Nick to just like play baseball in a different way, I'll put it that way, in a more analytical type of way, try and make some improvements, he always bristles at that. I can't forgive him for that because you see all the results. He's a decent hitter, but yeah, he does drive me crazy.
I think the power, is it the power thing? Because a lot of people expected him to be the 30 home run guy that he was in Cincinnati.
That's a little bit, especially when he comes in being like, I hit baseballs or whatever.
Well, and when you think about Great American Ballpark and Citizens Bank Park, they're very similar ballparks. I mean, in terms of like their hitter-friendly ballparks. And I get the thought process. You're looking for a guy to come in and be the 5th hitter-ish in your lineup, somewhere between 4 and 6, I guess. And, he hasn't, the power hasn't been there over the last couple of years that you expect. I think the thing for me that was the biggest thing for Castellanos was the chase rate, the whiff rate down and away, like breaking ball down and away out of hand. And it looked really good for April, May, beginning of June, where it felt like this might be a different guy. And I know he was only hitting, 10 or so home runs, but he was hitting 280 and driving the ball to the gaps and, a little bit of a singles guy more than a power guy. But I was comfortable with that when the chase rates were good and the whiff rates were good. They're starting to go back the other way
now.
Right.
Yeah.
And when he misses, he looks bad missing. Like he looks like he's not even close.
Well, there's also that too. And we'll get to the Harrison Bader acquisition too. Like you just look at the defensive metrics and they're like, oh man, or whatever. And by the way, for a while, I wasn't able to eyeball that. Like, again, I am not as smart as Tyler is watching these games where I was like, I'm not really seeing it quite as much, man. You've seen some plays like in Chicago this past week.
He looks a step slow to most balls that 2 years ago, even if he wasn't getting to them, like it felt like he was keeping them in front. Now they're starting to trickle to the wall.
He's only good at the one sliding catch.
We haven't seen that much.
It's a very specific type of play. And apparently everything else he's really bad at.
He's the best at that, but we haven't seen it a lot this year.
By the way, I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show. Leave a like and a comment down below. And of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel, would really appreciate if you would do so. It just takes a couple seconds and it really helps us out. All right, before we get to Harrison Bader, I want to welcome in our producer, our 4th member of today's show, Andrew Frazier. Andrew, you and I have been along in lockstep every step of the way doing the PHLY Philly show over the last couple of weeks.
We have.
You talked about Jhoan Duran. We talked about Jhoan Duran. But we have not had a chance to talk about him since they've acquired him. Your thoughts?
I'm excited, man. This is exactly what we were talking about yesterday. We were talking about expectations versus like what we wanted. And we both kind of said the expectation was that relief pitcher. And look, that's what we got.
Look how handsome he looks tonight. I see him in the morning.
He does.
He's a mess in the mornings. He looks handsome at night.
So
yeah.
I'm just rolling out of bed coming to work. That's why. Yeah.
he's got the Hawaiian shirt look. He's got
Yeah.
the chain. He's got the combed hair.
I'm here to work, man. I'm here to work.
All right, so I think I don't think we have to spend a ton of time on Duran because it feels like an overarching win for the Phillies, especially, and we'll talk more about the other trades outside of the Phillies in a little bit, especially with the fact that it feels like looking at what some of the other teams gave up for their closers, I think specifically comparing the Duran deal to the Mason Miller deal.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but like it feels like San Diego gave up a lot for Mason Miller.
That guy is a wild boy, that AJ Preller. He is,
Oh, dude. In a way, I wish he was our GM. He's just, every year, he's just all in. All in. It's like he's in a poker tournament and he can rebuy in if he crashes out.
they must draft great. Yeah, it's unbelievable how many times he's gone all in.
So, all right, let's talk about the other move that the Phillies made, which is the one that they made today. Harrison Bader in a separate move with the Minnesota Twins. They give up Hendry Mendez, who was the 12th ranked prospect for the Phillies, and Jeremy Valuria, a 16-year-old pitcher in the Dominican Summer League. Mendez is a guy that I think has kind of shot up the prospect board a little bit for the Phillies. He's hitting well in Double-A, got promoted to Double-A, was hitting 290. But as I said on the pod today, there's probably at least 3 or 4 outfielders that the Phillies have in between the major leagues and Mendez. And Crawford, no doubt, right? The 2 young kids, Dante Nori and Griffin Burkholder, you could probably throw Gabriel Rincones Jr. in that mix as well. So while it feels like a high trade in terms of prospect number for a guy who feels like he'll probably be a rental, I think the Phillies were looking at it as, we got 3 or 4 guys ahead of you that we really like. You become almost a little bit expendable in that sense. I said it on the emergency pod today. I think this is a meh move for me. Like, I don't love Bader. The defense is unquestionable. He's a good base runner. He's hit decently against righties, even being a right-handed hitter. But like, I've watched this guy over his career, and he's a below average offensive player for most of his career. Defense is unquestionable, but like, this is a move that moves the needle very little for me.
I mean, meh is the word I wanted. You stole my word.
Sorry.
It's just what it is. It's just like, eh. I mean, he's maybe a more consistent batter than Marsh, but it doesn't feel like much more than Marsh, just from the other side of the plate. I don't know. Seeing everything else, I mean, just taking the pulse of people out in public, they are not happy right now about this Bader move.
There was a lot of varying thoughts on the pod. It was thoughts from, like Mr. Always Positive Jamie Lynch, who's on vacation right now, so he's probably feeling good. Was in the chat, was like, hey, he's better than Kepler. It's got to count for something, right?
Bottom of the barrel outfielders.
Right.
Of course he's better than.
And then everybody else was like, there was some people in the chat. I know, like Elephant in the Room, for example, was like, dude, this trade stinks.
Elephant in the Room just called him, I think, the shoes at Payless.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to make the joke like, man, we're really going back to the Twins corner outfielder bucket, right?
Right.
That has not worked out so far this year. I'm with you guys. I wanted a bigger bat. I mean, I think this is probably a larger discussion in that, what were your expectations before the trade deadline, before Duran was a part of the fold here for the Phillies. And for me, I thought as much as the Phillies needed, more arms in the bullpen, this offense, I'm not crazy about it, guys. I know I'm just talking about the last 3 games, but they scored 5 runs over 2 games against the freaking Chicago White Sox this week. And it just goes very hot and cold. You look at the numbers, they're, close to a top 10 offense in a lot of these categories. So it doesn't seem that bad, but the lack of pop specifically from the right side of the plate. And look, I mean, Bader, how many home runs has he hit this year?
12, I believe.
So for the Phillies, that's pretty good.
That's like top 4 for the Phillies.
So for the Phillies, that's pretty good. But there was one huge name out there in Eugenio Suarez, where I thought, okay, that could be a little bit of a game changer, at least in terms of the lineup. I know that would have been a major question mark on the defensive side, because then it's like you're moving Bohm over to first base, you're moving Bryce back to right field, Schwarber to the outfield, which is a disaster. But we
talking about this deal. Like,
we're getting to it. Don't worry.
They gave up the 14th and 25th prospect in their organization, and a guy who's not even in the top 30. Like, they got nothing for Suarez.
So here's the thing, that because you bring up the metrics, Rich, and talk about like they're 10th in this and 8th in this and all that, and I think as you look at that from a 2,000-foot lens, it looks like it's been a productive offensive season for the Phillies. The inverse of that is as you get closer and closer, you find out that the Phillies have scored 2 runs or less 31 times this year.
Very hot and cold.
And that is, I think that's concerning because when you look at the games in which they scored 2 runs or less, there's a plethora of games where they've lost 3-2, 3-1, 2-1, 1-0, that type of game. I think about the Houston Astros series. They gave up 5 runs in 3 games against a pretty good Astros team, and you lost all 3 games. And so I think when you think about the offense, the power conversation with Suarez was there. The conversation of upgrading the left field position more so with guys like a Laureano, for example, that we've talked about a lot. Or, I know Alex Call's name has come up a lot. He just got traded to the Dodgers. Is Stephen Kwan still, is he going to get traded in the next 40 minutes? Still remains to be seen.
Does he do it for you? I mean,
absolutely.
I
I
love
love
a good
Stephen
player
Kwan.
and he gets on base.
He's a good player, but I don't think he fits what they need.
We need some pop, man.
Some pop.
We need a little
Bopper.
We need a bopper.
He's a good player.
I
agree.
love
Absolutely, 100%.
I love OPS. I think OPS is a super telling stat, and it shows you the type of power that a guy has. There is still something to be said about the type of player who doesn't strike out, has good at-bats, puts together a high 290, 300 average, is on base at a 380, 390 clip, and can be a tone setter for you and play good defense on top of it. And I think that type of guy still has value, even in a game that is inflated with launch angle and home runs and things like that. I think there's inherent value to a guy like a Stephen Kwan.
Look, I'd feel better with Stephen Kwan than Bader. For sure.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, to get back to the whole philosophy of the expectations of what I had coming into the trade deadline and what they actually did, I thought, if it were me, I would have done a big spend on a bat, which is Suarez. And honestly, was that a huge spend? I don't know. Obviously, when you look at where those prospects were in the Mariners organization, they were lower, but the Phillies are a more top-heavy system. So, maybe the Diamondbacks wouldn't have wanted that. It's also pretty funny that the Mariners basically salary dumped Suarez a couple of years ago. And now they're like actually paying real prospects to get him back. So even if it's like not that big of a price for them, it's kind of an own goal to do that. And then maybe a lesser spend on a competent reliever is what, maybe the Ryan Helsley types or whatever. They went the opposite way. They went with their big spend on the reliever, and then they tried to do the lesser spend on the bat. Now, maybe that changes in the last, what do we got, 37 minutes left here or whatever. So I will say, like, Duran, the price, I thought it was going to be way more.
I did too. And I've spoken very highly about Eduardo Taillon over the last 2 years. I think he is going to be a very, very good major league hitter. And the reason that I say major league hitter and not major league catcher is because I'm not entirely sure he's a major league catcher. I do feel very confident he's a major league hitter. And whether that means DH or maybe he learns how to play first base or whatever it might be, I do feel very, very confident that he's going to be a very good major league catcher or hitter. The pop at 19, very real. He's got a great arm too, but like defensively, how do his mechanics come along? How's his pitch sequencing? He's still very young in that aspect. But they protected Painter, protected Miller, protected Crawford, protected Escobar, and protected the 2 young guys, Burkholder and Norrie. They had to give up somebody to acquire this type of player. Mick Abel being in the deal felt like a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
It felt like he was getting traded in some capacity at this trade deadline.
By the way, shout out to him because last year he was kind of
100%.
He was the underrated LVP. Like Taiwan was the big reason their number 5 starter stunk last year. But the other quiet guy who was killing them was Mick Abel because he was having such a bad year.
Yes.
They were trying all of these guys. They were trying the Colby Allard,
Gilbert, Phillips,
Allard.
Like,
trying all these guys.
brutal.
And they had Mick Abel, who they thought, if there was an injury, was going to be a part of the rotation last year, and they just couldn't call him up because he struggled.
Yeah.
So for him, over one offseason to rebound his trade value, absolutely dominate AAA. I mean, he basically went from the worst pitcher in the International League to the best pitcher in the International League. So he did a great job, and he also gave a couple of good starts for the Phillies too. Like we'll always have that Paul Skeens, out dueling him as well. So keep going, Tyler. I agree. Like Mick Abel was going to be in the trade, but shout out to him for rebounding this year because he was
100%.
awful last year.
Yeah, he was almost, and like you brought up, the Phillies would have brought him up 8 different times if he was even okay last year.
Right.
If he pitched to a 4 instead of a 6. He's in the major league rotation last year, and he makes his debut 11 months earlier. But I do want to ask you guys before we hit our first break. They bring in Bader, and it is what it is. Let me pose this question to you: are you more comfortable if the outfield swings left to right, as instead of it being Marsh, Bader, Rojas platoon? Would you be more comfortable if it was Justin Crawford in left, Bader and Marsh platoon in center, and Nick Castellanos in right?
I'm not comfortable with Crawford at all.
You're not?
No, I mean, we've never seen him
I
play. I'm not willing to risk. We're making a run. This is a real chance. The league's wide, National League's wide open. I don't want to risk it on a rookie. I'm really disappointed if that's what we end up with. I mean, it'll be another disappointing trade deadline for me if Bader's the only bad day at.
Well, and you mentioned that you wanted pop, right? If you call Justin Crawford up,
right.
I think he is a fascinating player, and you've talked about this a lot just because of the profile, because I think if you polled, just getting the sense in reading a bunch of the prospect evaluations of him, I bet a bunch of people have him in their top 100 prospects, and I bet you a lot of people don't even have him anywhere.
Yeah,
close
there's no consensus on it.
Because they don't think the ground ball rate and sort of that swing path
Sure.
is going to work in the major leagues when, number one, the pitching's a lot better than in AAA. You're scouted a lot better, and the defense is also a lot better. So, throwing him into the deep end of the pool in August instead
100%.
of April is unorthodox. And I thought you said something really smart a couple weeks ago where Stephen Kwan, it feels like a 90th percentile for Crawford, 80th percentile.
Yeah, so I think when you talk about the ceilings of both of those guys, there is a pathway for me that Justin Crawford could potentially have a higher ceiling than Stephen Kwan. Because I think Kwan's a smaller guy. Crawford's a big dude. He's just lanky. If there's any power fill out in the next couple of years, you could convince me that Crawford becomes a 12 to 15 home run guy a year. And that's probably stretching it, but I think we got something, Andrew?
Oh, no, I was just going to tell you there's been 2 moves.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, get 1 second, we'll get to that, and you can let us know who we got.
Of course, yeah.
The skill set of Justin Crawford is bat to ball is good.
Yeah.
Speed, defense, doesn't strike out a lot, good contact guy. All of those profile in a vacuum as Stephen Kwan.
So the thing I have with Crawford, right, is that if he's not in AAA, if he's not like refining his swing in AAA and gaining, more launch angle, more power, all of those things, which he has not done. He has not gotten that much better at that in AAA. Then I think you do have to see it in the majors at some point, because he has produced his style of play. You can be plenty skeptical if that's going to work in the majors, but he has produced at every level.
All he does
and
is
he
hit.
has been young for all of those levels. So let's see. He's only got 1 more to go.
Sure.
Let's see if it works. But I am uneasy about doing it for a team that's actually trying to win.
There's something about a guy who every stop he makes hits 300.
I guess.
Like it
I don't
has
know
to
why.
mean something, right? Like
I guess
we're not that far
I just read
removed
so
from-
many conflicting reports on his swing path, and is he going to be able to do it at the MLB level? I don't know, man. After Mason Miller goes, I call Oakland up for anything for Brent Rooker right now.
There's a lot of
I
Brent
agree.
Rooker love in this.
I mean, why
would
would
do
you
the same
get him for like
thing.
another 3 years? I know the defense is going to be a trouble, just like if you had Suarez.
you
here,
putting
but
Rooker in left, you putting Schwarber in left.
it doesn't matter.
They're
They're
both
both
gonna
stink.
stink.
Yeah, and I'm fine with
Go
that.
for broke.
You got Bader in
Get
center
him.
field now. He can cover a lot of ground.
Real quick,
What do we got?
so
What are
while
two
we've been on air, 2 moves have been made. The Dodgers have acquired outfielder Alex Call from the Nationals, and the Rangers are acquiring right-hander Merrill Kelly from the Diamondbacks.
So we talked about the Rangers, Andrew, a lot.
Possibly being
teams is
sellers.
Like, what are they going to do? They got to make a decision. Seems to me, I was watching the DLLS Rangers pod the other day, and they were talking about the Rangers are not going to be sellers, but they're also crying poor in terms of like actual cash available. They seem to be crying poor right now. And so I wonder if they were going to like soft buy and bring in guys on like expiring deals and stuff like that. Seems like that may be the way that they're going. Merrill Kelly will be a free agent at the end of the year.
That's a good move for them. I mean, but they're in it. They're still in the wild card, right? I think.
I
think
believe
it's 52. I mean, yeah.
I believe they are. If they're not, they're like just on the outside looking in.
Yeah. I think that's a good move for them. They needed some pitching. You and I talked earlier. What are the Angels doing?
I couldn't tell you. Still have absolutely no idea.
No idea. Like, they should be selling, and Taylor Wood should be here.
I feel like this is not the first year that the Angels have made some weird buy now moves. Yeah.
They're 4 games out of the wild card with 3 teams ahead of them, and they're under 500.
The prevailing thought on all of this is that Art Moreno's going to continue to own this team. They're going to continue to make stupid decisions.
Yeah.
He's a bad owner. It's a bad organization. All right, let's pause for a moment. On the other side, we're going to get to some of the other big moves. We got a half an hour until the trade deadline is over. I know another move just broke. We'll talk about that on the other side. It is the PHLY Phillies podcast, the PHLY Phillies trade deadline special, which is brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We have another hour and a half to go. It's myself, Tyler Zulli, VG, Violations Greg. That's Rich Hoffman. Andrew Frazier is here. We have a plethora of people working behind the scenes. So shout out to Chris, to Kevin, to Ethan. We appreciate all of you guys. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit as well. But it is the PHLY Phillies podcast, and we will be right back after this.
And guys, let's hear about our friends at Golden Nugget. For the past 30 years, Golden Nugget Jewelers has operated out of the very same location in the heart of Philadelphia. Customers from across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and even Baltimore and New York City have come to Golden Nugget Jewelers to find that perfect engagement ring or wedding band. Their staff is highly trained and dedicated to providing a personalized shopping experience, and they have a vast selection of engagement rings and wedding bands, along with high-end watches, fashion jewelry, and sparkling diamond necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and plenty more. And guys, when you go to Golden Nugget, you can receive a final cleaning and written appraisal with every engagement ring purchase. Golden Nugget Jewelers has been a family-owned and operated business since 1987. It's right there in the same spot as always on Chestnut and 8th in downtown Philly. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Visit goldennuggetjewelry.com to learn more.
You know that moment, the one where you're having a good day, you're at the beach, you're at an amusement park, you're on the big roller coaster, and all of a sudden you feel your sunglasses fly off your face. Gone, never going to see them again. But you don't have to worry if you have a pair of Shady Rays, because with Shady Rays, you get the best protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by a lost or broken replacement guarantee, and you are guaranteed to find the pair that you like in the style that works best for you, in the color scheme that works best for you. You have an opportunity to take a look at some of the sportier ones, the aviators, classic shades, and of course, as we get a little bit closer and closer to the fall and winter months and the ski sessions open back up, you can get in with the best ski and snowboard snow goggles in the industry. And the best part is, with Shady Rays, you know that you are going to have the opportunity to buy without having any kind of remorse, because they offer you 30-day money back or replacement guarantee if you don't love the pair that you buy. How about this? We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head on over to shadyrays.com and use the code PHLY for 35% off a pair of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Welcome back to the PHLY Phillies podcast, the trade deadline special here on PHLY. Hello to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for being a part of our baseball community here. We have an hour and a half left in the show, but only a half an hour. In fact, 26 minutes or so left until the trade deadline.
Can we say, like, here's what the Angels are doing? They just added Oswald Peraza from the Yankees. He's batting 152 this year.
Man,
What's the
big
meme
moves.
What's the meme with Patrick Starr where he's got the foam fingers? That's where we're at.
And the Cubs are got Willie Castro from the Twins.
All right, so that's actually a
Who's
move
left on the Twins?
that I think works well for the Cubs, because they were one of the teams I was going to say, if they didn't make another move, I still think they need a starting pitcher.
I was going to say they have enough offense.
They need a starting pitcher. Feels like a little bit of an underwhelming deadline for the Cubs so far, guys.
100%. What do they got? Kittredge and Soroka?
Yeah, and Soroka cost them a decent bit for a guy with good metrics, but hasn't like numerically been that good this year. All right, so let's talk about some of the big moves, because VG, I know that you were the conductor of the Eugenio Suarez train this last couple of weeks, and I kind of want to let you lead this one, because you've been so adamant about bringing in Eugenio Suarez. The Mariners get Suarez back in exchange for infielder Tyler Locklear. I guess that's the major league ready player that they were talking about. And 2 right-handed pitchers, Hunter Crenton and Juan Burgos. And there is the deal for a Eugenio Suarez with about a half a year of left on his contract. I want to kind of let you take the reins on this one because you were the biggest supporter of bringing a Eugenio Suarez.
Wow, I mean, I sit through the games like everybody. We watch the games. They need pop. He is immediate pop. I don't know. I think since last July, only Aaron Judge has hit more home runs than him, or Ohtani. He's second in home runs since last July. So he's not just on a heater this year. The guy just bashes. He starts off slow, I feel like, every year, and then he gets hot and bashes. I would have done anything. I know you had to juggle a bunch of pieces. I don't know. I may have maybe traded Bohm for in the deal, or Bohm goes to first base. Who plays the outfield? Harper said he would play the outfield. Is he just saying that? Like, I don't know. I'm even fine with Schwarber out there. If you're getting another 50 home run hitter, I don't know. To me, it was a no-brainer. I don't get it. And he's not even that expensive. $5 million for the rest of the year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Made no sense not to be all in on that.
I mean, I was with VG. And that was the guy that was clearly the best bet on the market. And he had power from the right side, which I thought was exactly what the Phillies needed. He's a rental, and yeah, he was going to completely mess with your defense in one way or another. But again, I've watched this offense like Tyler laid out, like all of those 2 runs or less games. Like, it's frustrating. There's been too many games this year where you just get down to the number 6 spot in the lineup, and it's really easy to pitch to those guys, man. It's real easy. And if it, like we said with Duran and the bullpen, you move everybody back a spot, then they sort of
100%.
slot into a better place. I think Suarez would have especially done that for the lineup where you move people back.
So
1,000%.
This is a team that's won 61 of its first 108 games, despite that number of 31 2 runs or less games, because they won a handful. Now their win percentage is not good when they scored 2 or less, but they've won more games than you would expect scoring 2 runs because of how good the starting pitching is. But there's no question about it. This offense was in need of some additional pop. And what made me start to come around on the Suarez deal, because if you remember, VG, when I was talking about Alec Bohm in the offseason back in like February and March, I talked about why it made sense to keep Bohm after the downfall of the second half of the season and the slamming the helmet and seemingly getting benched in the postseason. But it made sense to keep Bohm for a handful of reasons. Professional hitter who's going to give you probably 150-ish games on a relatively cheap arbitration number, compared to like what Bregman got, compared to what Arenado was going to cost you in terms of return, plus what he was making in money. It made a ton of sense to keep Alec Bohm at the time. Now thinking about the trade deadline and the year and a half versus the half a year, it doesn't feel like it's that much at that point. Like losing the year of Alec Bohm and the final year of his arbitration to acquire a power bat like a Eugenio Suarez for just a half a year then starts to feel like you're getting in the right ballpark of being in the spot to potentially move a guy like Alec Bohm. And as you brought up, 50 home runs, he won't hit. He'll probably hit
another 15,
another 15, probably another 15 or so. And I've talked about it before. Like, there's no question about it. There's going to be a week where Suarez would have driven you nuts. He'd have struck out 15 times in a week and looked silly doing it.
Of course.
And then the following week would have hit 7 home runs in a week.
And we forget about it.
Right. And so I think.
So Bryson Stott drives me nuts for 2 months.
2 months.
And then it's like a week of like, oh yeah, he's
changed the song.
He's hitting the ball the opposite way.
And so with Suarez, like if the thought process behind not acquiring him versus acquiring him was about the defense or the whiff rates and the chase rates at times, those are things I could have eventually gotten over to bring that type of power, especially from the right side, into this lineup.
We just have such a dearth of, there's just no corner power. Like, that's where the power should be. And I'm a big Bohm fan. He looks like he should be a great Major League Baseball player, but he's just the power. We've been waiting for the power to come, and it just never seems to come. I don't understand it. And with what we're getting out of left field, we're not getting a lot of power out of Castellanos. Like third base, we got one of these positions. We need some power to come from. So I would have been quick to make the move with Bohm off third. And I'm a Bohm fan.
So Tyler, here's a question for you, because this is kind of a more philosophical question, just with how these last few years of Phillies baseball have gone. I mean, Bryce Harper moving to first base is like an interesting kind of move, because there were rumors this offseason that Bryce Harper was willing to move back to the outfield if the Phillies found a first baseman
Sure.
that he found suitable.
And I think that conversation, he pretty much said, go get Pete Alonso.
Another Scott Boras client too. So I understand how that game is played. Bryce Harper, labor hero after the past week. So I understand that that's not just him trying to improve the Phillies. Although I think like Bryce Harper really wants to win. And I think that's part of it. Like he wants John Middleton to spend a lot of money. But the fact that you had him playing right field was really big. Like that opens up so many more options at first base where you can find some of that power. And now that Bryce is kind of stuck at first base, I just kind of wonder, like, man, it would be nice if he was in the outfield, give you a few more options.
Yeah, because it's maybe I'm crazy. It seems like it's easier to get a power hitting first baseman right now than it is an outfielder.
I think in terms of the trade market, or free agency, probably. I mean, like Josh Naylor got moved to Seattle.
He's a Naylor, like the Christian Kirk's out. I mean, it just seems like there's guys out there.
Yeah, I think if you were, I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but I bet you if you were to look back over the last couple of years, there's probably been, just by sheer nature of the position, like more power hitting first baseman / DH type guys that you could acquire. It is an interesting thought though, Rich, because I think moving him to first was clearly a save the body move. Made sense coming off the elbow injury. It's like he's getting banged up a lot. It's a lot of little stuff that's starting to eat at him a little bit. Playing first is a little bit less physically demanding. And the other thought of it too is, my question was, how good can he be defensively at first base? He's really good defensively at first base. Yeah. And so I think that's their hesitancy too, is moving him off of first base, because how bad does the defense decline? Maybe in two positions, because I wonder at this point, is Bryce Harper a better defensive first baseman than he is a defensive right fielder?
I think he's a better defensive first baseman.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm just trying to find.
And we had the years with Hoskins, and
Hoskins was dreadful.
Yeah, man, he looks like
I loved him so much, but man, he was such a butcher up there. Right. There would be like a guy who would make a great play at short, like Stott would make the throw over, and he just couldn't dig it out of first base. The reasons they moved Bryce over to first base, they make a lot of sense, right? Because he's a guy you wonder how he's going to age with that violent swing. So just having him do a little bit less in terms of movement makes a lot of sense. And you're right, he is a very good first baseman. But if you're looking at it through the lens of, I'm just trying to find creative ways to get more pop in the lineup while not completely compromising the defense.
Which I think is a fair ask, right? To get more pop in a lineup, which, as you said, Rich, at times has featured Johan Rojas, has featured slumping Brandon Marsh. He's played much better as of late, but slumping Brandon Marsh at the beginning of the year, has featured Max Kepler, has featured, I think I like Otto Kemp. I think Otto Kemp's a serviceable player, but I can't ask Otto Kemp to be my 5 or 6, even as a 6 hitter on a championship contending team.
I love Otto Kemp.
And I know you do.
But he's a good right-handed bat off the bench for a World Series contending team. That's all I want to see him. Come off the bench with a little bit of pop, maybe.
I even think I might take it a step further. I think he could be like an 8th hitter on a World Series contending team if you have the right mix in between the boppers. We
don't really have any other choice,
Well, I'm thinking now, like we're going to go back tomorrow. They're going to play a game, and you're going to have Stott, Marsh, and Bader as your 7, 8, 9 hitters.
So who's
that's not exciting?
Have they announced the starters for the Tigers yet? Who's pitching tomorrow?
No. JD, just real quick, John Morosi's the Padres gave up 6 players for O'Hearn and Laureano. They gave up their 4th prospect, their 6th best, 12th best, 29th, and then 2 guys not rated.
So over the last 24 hours, the Padres have given up their first, the number 3 overall, their first, their 4th, their 6th, their 12th, 29th,
and then 200.
He's going for it. Preller's going for it.
There was the stat.
He's got to be fun to party with that dude. He's out of his mind.
He's out of his mind. Yeah. San Diego, you can get over to Vegas pretty easy. Man, he's crazy. I mean, there was the stat that a top 100 prospect had not been moved. Now, obviously, the different rankings
like 2.5 years.
In like 2 years. And the Phillies dipped their toe in that pool with Eduardo Taiit. And also Mick Abel is in the top 100 on some of those lists.
Yeah.
This guy, for a reliever, traded the number 3 overall prospect in baseball.
It's the highest since like 2017, is it?
He's a wild boy.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, for sure. It is absolutely like bleep the prospects at this point.
When you watch, I was watching MLB channel this afternoon, and like the players and the GMs are just like, prospects. Who knows? You might as well just throw at a dartboard.
Look, part
you
of
can
me
get players.
Part of me respects it. I think it's wild, but I do respect it. He's all in.
So I want to ask you guys this: how your arms feel? Can you suit up and play for the rest of the season?
No,
because the Minnesota Twins are going to need somebody to play.
Come on, VG, you got it.
Somebody's going to have to play a little utility infielder. So over the last couple of days, the Twins have traded Duran and Bader. They've traded Willie Castro. There is talks about them trading Joe Ryan in the last half an hour or so. I think they've picked up. Boston's super interested. Byron Buxton has said many, many times he is going to be a Twin until he retires. And he has a no-trade clause, full no-trade clause through the end of next season, I believe it is. Do you think if Byron Buxton's sitting there in the last half an hour or so, 15 minutes now, and going, oh, boy, I made a mistake. I probably should have waived my no-trade clause.
I think he's thinking that right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Watching
Like in the last
fire
15
sale
minutes.
happen, yeah.
I mean, did he really think the Twins were going to make a run in the next year or two?
I don't think
He
it
had
would be
high
delusional.
hopes. Clearly, he had high hopes.
I'm not a Buxton fan. I know he's got all the talent in the world. He's always injured. I don't know if he plays well in late September, October in Philadelphia.
I don't know if he's ever played in late September.
True. Good point.
That is funny though, man. He is doing the John Travolta gift, just looking around. Like,
Nobody's there.
He's going, or Uncle Phil in the room by himself. Or sorry, Will Smith in the room by himself.
I don't know how far your memory goes back. There used to be a commercial in Philly for Betson's Furniture where the guy would be partying and he'd be like, all of a sudden he'd be alone looking around and be like, hey, where'd everybody go? It's like, they went to Betson's for their new furniture sale.
Yeah, that's Buxton. Yeah.
All right, so
They went to Buxton's Furniture, right?
let's talk about the probably the big deal. I think this might be the biggest deal that like other players have been dealt, but I think the Mason Miller deal might be the biggest deal in terms of who went, who returned. So the Padres get Mason Miller and JP Sears, and we were just talking about the number 3 overall prospect, their number 1 prospect, Leo DeVries, along with 3 right-handed pitchers in their minor league system in exchange for Mason Miller. And I've always believed like the prevailing thought of trading top prospects is not for bullpen help. And we've seen it a couple of times now where the Phillies trade Eduardo Tait to get Jhoan Duran. The Padres trade Leo DeVries to get Mason Miller. A couple other, smaller moves, I guess you will, in terms of like 10s and 12s type of prospects have gone. This felt like one of those guys, if you looked around like the entire landscape of baseball, Leo DeVries was like one of a handful of prospects that was like, yeah, you're not trading that guy. Like, that's your future shortstop right there. Mm-hmm. And as we just said, like Preller said, bleep the prospects, we're making a move. And he goes and get Mason Miller. Now, so I want to ask you guys 2 things. 1, first of all, does it feel like it's an overpay to you? And 2, when you acquire a guy like Mason Miller for a Leo DeVries and others, at some point it feels to me like the Padres may consider making Mason Miller a starting pitcher.
Well, that's what I had read reports of that last night, that was the long-term plan.
Sure. I think at that point you have to.
He has started 6 games. Like was he originally a starter? I think I read he has started 6 games, but that seems to be the long-term plan with them, to have him roll into a starter's role. Oh, it's the air conditioning.
I was saying,
the air conditioning. The air conditioning is dripping.
Condensation from the air.
Yeah, the condensation.
The rats are coming. The ceiling's falling apart.
You're getting rained on. There was a big storm.
The rats, we clogged up the hole behind Frazier.
Yeah. I don't know if we really clogged it well enough.
So you're right. 6 starts in 2023. Obviously, has only been out of the bullpen since then. 104 strikeouts in 65 innings last year for Mason Miller. This year, 59 over 38, which is still elite, but it's down a little bit from last season. To me, Mason Miller feels like, and I hate to be this guy because I hate when people do this, but to me, Mason Miller feels like the type of guy who they're going to try to make him a starter and it's not going to work out the way that they think. Like, I don't think it's going to be as bad as the Jordan Hicks try to make him a starter with the Giants, but he feels like the type of guy who is an elite level closer and a fine starting pitcher. But when you move a guy like DeVries, you almost have to make that type of transition to get the innings length out of him to justify moving a top 3 prospect in baseball.
That's generally how I would view the trade deadline too. I am not big on giving a ton of prospect capital, especially an elite prospect, for a relief pitcher. I just think First off, you can sign those guys in free agency if you want. You can somewhat create those guys, as we saw with Jeff Hoffman over the past few years as well. You can develop them in the minor leagues. You can draft for them with Gage Wood.
Sure.
Hopefully that one turns out. So that's not usually where I would spend that capital. It makes me feel a little bit better about what the Phillies paid for Duran, because they did not trade their version of Leo DeVries, who is Andrew Painter. They did not move him. And, Mick Abel was a guy I thought he was going to be gone regardless. He just felt like he's blocked in this with this major
Phillies
league rotation.
rotation is pretty set
Right now. And then to give up Tait, who is 2.5 years away from being good.
That's the earliest.
Right. And it's like Tyler was talking about, that Zach Wheeler window is kind of interesting to me, where, look, you can't say it's just the Zach Wheeler window, because they got a bunch of contracts before that 27 season ends that are up. Kyle Schwarber better be get a new contract that runs past
100%.
it. They have a bunch of contracts that run past it as well. The Nolas, the Harpers, the Turners, Chris Sanchez as well on that steal of an absolute contract.
That's an elite level contract at this point.
That he's
they might have to renegotiate that just out of
just like
goodwill.
This is rough.
Yeah.
We're stealing from you right now. But when you look at the Wheeler window over the next 2.5 years, Tait is not going to be ready during that time. Duran is he lines up perfectly with that Wheeler window as well.
Yeah, and I think I use the Wheeler example because that feels the most tangible, because he's basically said,
I think it makes
I'm good.
sense.
I'm going to go be dad, and all power, like, God bless, like, good for you. You should go do that.
Going to eat even more McDonald's.
I don't blame the guy one little bit, but now you do have a window where, like, in 2028, there is a realistic look that the Phillies starting rotation could be 80% different. Now you could say that about any team, right? That's a light years away. But in 2028, there is a chance that the only guy in the rotation now that's there in 2028 could be Christopher Sanchez. Because at that point, you're talking about Nola having potentially 2 years left on his deal. Maybe there's a decision that made there. Ranger feels like you're getting closer and closer to him being a free agent and going somewhere else. Luzardo has one more year of arbitration. You have to make a decision there. And of course, Wheeler, set to retire. It does feel like that's the tangible. That's why I kind of headline it as like the Wheeler timeline. But you are right, Rich. There's a ton of moves in between with a lot of important pieces to this organization. What do they look like and how do they, and I've said this with Andrew a ton. Dave Dombrowski for a long time has been the guy that will say,
fix.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
But I'll give up years to keep the money down. Like, if you want to say let's say you want $100 million, I'll give you a 5-year, $20 million deal versus a 4-year, $25 million deal per year to keep the AAV down. This offseason, I wonder if maybe he reverses that trend and said, hey, JT, hey, Kyle, like, I'm not comfortable giving you 4 or 5 years, but I'll give you 3 and go 125% of what you're asking for per season. And that's where maybe you get into Schwarber taking 3 for 40, right? Or 4 for 103, or 3 for 120, or 4 for 150 type of deal. And I wonder if that he kind of reverses that trend.
How that plays with other owners, because then when they're re-signing, they're like, well, Schwarber's getting $45 million a year. When normally you think you give $40 million a year, and now you're upping what the other player's going to ask for. Yeah, be curious how that plays with the owners. I think I understand.
I'm going to strike you 2027 anyway. VG, spend the money.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, I mean that's coming. Someone made a really good point. Baseball players can give up a year. They're not like football players where your career is only 3 or 4 years long. These baseball players have long careers, so they're fine sitting out a year.
Well, I feel bad for the guys that haven't gotten their first contract yet. Like I know Harper's standing up for these dudes, and it's good to see a guy who makes a lot of money stand up for the big time player or the small time players. But I feel bad for the guys that are in arbitration. I feel bad for the minor leaguers, like those guys that are making,
they're still making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year,
relative to what Major League Baseball. Because if you said to me, "Hey, you're making $700,000 to go host the show," I work every day.
You might have to sit out a year so you can make more money.
Right, I'll work every day of the year. But relative to baseball salaries, that's who I feel bad for.
Real quick, while we're sitting here at 5:54, 2 new moves have happened. The Red Sox are acquiring right-hander Dustin May.
Okay, because I know they were in talks with Joe Ryan
from the Dodgers, and the Royals are getting left-hander Bailey Falter.
Former Phil. And one more to add to that, the recently acquired Taylor Rogers is now being traded again. He is going to the Cubs from the Pirates. So he's been traded twice in the last 72 hours.
Sounds like fun.
So the Cubs have kind of made an interesting pathway. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about them in the 6 o'clock hour. But I really expected them to go get a starter. And they decided unless Soroka is going to start, they really decided to bolster their bullpen instead.
Even if he does start, it's not a good,
I figured
Colin Reyes still in the rotation.
Yeah.
Ben Brown.
I figured even if they didn't go for the big names, they would go for an Adrian Hauser type of guy, somebody to help bolster the middle of their rotation. But Adrian Hauser is getting sent to the race.
This is crazy. You mentioned, but here's a detailed Spotrac is the Padres prospects traded today.
Jeez.
1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 12, 13, 17, 26, 29.
So what's that? 5 in the top 10 and nine overall in the top 30?
Yeah.
Jeez.
There's a lot of trades coming in right now.
6 of their
Love
top
to hear
15.
It's been a pretty quiet trade deadline for the two NL Central teams.
Yes.
The Brewers, who have just been monsters over the past month or so. It's unbelievable. By the way, they just keep losing guys and they just keep winning games.
Pat Murphy is a great manager.
He might be the best in baseball.
So I will say this. I, for years, thought that Craig Counsell was overrated. I think he's an overrated manager, and I think I will stand by that forever. Pat Murphy, who replaced him after Counsell signed in Chicago, I think is a really, really good manager. And I think he's done a really nice job with, as you brought up, Rich, a team that doesn't feel like they should be good, but they do the little things well. They don't strike out a ton. They take the extra base. They play good defense. Their bullpen, VJ, you and I talked about this the other day. They just have 4 or 5 dudes who come out throwing 100.
Yeah. Is McGill coming back for them?
Tyler McGill?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
All right. So we're just a couple minutes away from the official end of the trade deadline. Obviously, trades will still trickle in. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll react to if this is it. If this is all the Phillies are going to do is Duran and Bader. We'll talk about that, and we'll get to some of the other moves.
Disappointing if it is.
Guess I need a whiskey if this.
This is very disappointing if it is.
And we'll do all that on the other side. We have an hour left to go. It is the PHLY Phillies trade deadline special, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll be right back after this. All right, let me tell you about Bet365 while we're here. 90 million users worldwide. That's a lot of people, right? They tell you that they are extremely satisfied with the service that Bet365 provides. And one of the best things that they have is that they are one of the premier live in-game betting. They're like the pioneers of live in-game betting. And you throw a couple bucks here and there. Maybe you get in on a bet and you say, is the next pitch going to be a ball or a strike? Oh, probably shouldn't have gone there. Anyway, you can get in on all the live streamed events, 780,000 events each and every year. And again, MLB early payout. If your team's up by 5 runs or more, at any given point, your team is going to win instantaneously, an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections that are marked as winners. And how about this? New customers now get $150 back in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. Here's what you're going to do. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit just $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 back in bonus bets. Whether your bet wins or loses, those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and so much more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, let's talk about Game Time. I love Game Time for tickets. When the NFL schedule is out, look it over, find some tickets. Tickets are now available all over Game Time for all NFL games. And the Philly to Buffalo tickets, pretty interesting. Game Time makes scoring NFL tickets faster, easier. They got exclusive discounts, so you find great seats for as low as $100. And the Game Time guarantee means you can trust it 100% authentic NFL tickets on time and the best price. Fees always included, so what you see is what you pay. I've been checking out Game Time this weekend for some Hall of Fame weekend tickets. It's a reunion with all the old Phillies coming back. Always a fun weekend. Game Time's got a bunch of tickets available at cheap ticket prices, cheaper than the competitors out there. Game Time's prices can't be beat. I like that they get priority last-minute deals. They're the best for last-minute savings, up to 60%. They got zone deals, special zones, or special discounted prices And I like the seat views. You get the panoramic view from your seat on the app before you buy it, which is always cool. Low price guarantee and game time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, super easy, and use the code PHLY, and they'll give you $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem the code PHLY, and $20 off. So download Game Time now and hop on some tickets to your favorite sporting events.
1 minute. 1 minute warning till the MLB trade deadline.
I think that's all she wrote.
I think, guys, we maybe talked
trickles
about
in
this.
like 10 minutes afterwards. They'll pop in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna put like your inspector goggles on here, I think a lot of teams were looking for Andrew Painter, and they just did not want to.
for sure.
Of course.
And that's the problem.
And here's the thing: we've talked about this before, Andrew. Like when we talked about Suarez, I don't blame you for asking.
yeah,
I'd ask too.
yeah.
The worst thing they're going to tell you is no, and then you circle back. But I think you're right. I think a lot of the bigger named moves, whether it is a Quan or even Luis Robert, who reports say he's not going to get traded, which means the White Sox were serious about picking up his option next year. I think a lot of these teams asked for Andrew Painter, and the Phillies said no. Former Phillies prospect, we talked about one of the greatest contracts in baseball right now. Former Phillies prospect who the Phillies traded to get Christopher Sanchez, Curtis Mead, is heading to Chicago, the White Sox, for Adrian Hauser.
Great trade.
Yeah.
Thank you, Clintek.
Looks
Yeah.
better and better
Thanks,
every
Mr.
day.
Mead.
All right, guys. So, here we go. Here's a trickle-in move, as Andrew was talking about. This is a pretty big one, actually. The Yankees have reportedly acquired Camilo Duvall from the San Francisco Giants.
Wow.
So the Yankees now
They
have
got two relievers.
Yeah, kind of put together a sneaky, solid deadline. They get Duvall, they get Bednar, they got Jake Bird earlier, so 3 relievers actually, and Ryan McMahon earlier in the week. I think the Yankees had themselves, if they're talking about bolstering a bad bullpen, like they had themselves and the other thing we talked about with the Yankees, my God, their defense sucks. So they got Ryan McMahon, who's an elite defender at third base, right? So like they shored up a bullpen and their defense got better. I think, they didn't bring in like a power bat or anything, but I think they addressed the needs. The Yankees had themselves a pretty good trade deadline, I think.
I mean, they got 8 butchers out in the field. I mean, they've had it since last year.
So bad.
That World Series Game 5 was an all-timer, man. They were just making mistake after mistake. I mean, getting Bednar and Duvall,
Are you guys big Bednar fans? I'm like,
I am not.
I don't love him. Yeah. I'm kind of happy they got him.
In terms of ranking the closers, he was lower down on my list. I had Duran, Miller, Helsley, Fairbanks, and then probably him. And if Robert Suarez truly was going to be in the mix, Suarez goes way up on the list. I love Robert Suarez, but yeah, Bednar falls pretty far down on my list.
I guess Mike Gelb just tweeted out that the Guardians are not trading Stephen Kwan.
The Padres just made another move.
Of course they did.
They got left-handed pitcher Nestor Cortez from the Brewers.
Interesting.
The Brewers unloaded.
For Brandon Lockridge, outfielder.
I think Nestor Cortez stinks.
bad.
If we're being honest here. So what you just told me is you
up.
traded away Devin Williams for a half a season of Nestor Cortez and whomever who was it, Andrew?
Brandon Lockridge.
I don't know the name off the top
Outfielder.
of my head. But he's hitting 216 this year.
Nestor Cortez throwing the meatball to Freddie Freeman and also the torpedo bats earlier this year. Yeah, I just not.
Does that make you feel like Dylan Cease is on the move? If the Padres are getting him for depth?
So Cease has been. We talked about the Padres a lot. It was a weird.
I mean, they're all over the place.
Oh, wow.
We got a big one.
Big late breaker. Well, I mean, yeah, pretty big. The Tampa Bay Rays are acquiring right-handed reliever Griffin Jacks.
Oh, they did
wow.
trade Jack.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Byron Buxton even.
Guys, I'm telling you,
Nobody
man,
left.
He's lonely, man.
get those arm. What was the old? Remember the old commercial with the kid and Cam Newton? Yeah, no, it was like
Yes.
you can or play 60 or whatever it was, and the kid was like, "You think I could be good enough to go to the NFL?" And Cam Newton's like, "Yeah, man, absolutely." And he's like, "To play quarterback for the Carolina Panthers?" And Cam Newton's like, "What?" He's like, "To take your job and have you sit on the bench?" Cam Newton's like, "Well, hold on, what?" So I just he's like, just loosening up my arm.
I remember that.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I remember
The
that.
little
Yeah.
kid was like, just loosening up my arm. And
Yep.
Cam Newton's looking at him like, What the hell? Get your arms loose, boys. Somebody's got to go pitch for the Twins.
Charlie Morton is going to the Tigers.
Oh.
Charlie Morton, teams love Charlie Morton. Like, he's not having a great year, but like that's the type of guy that I think you just like to have in your clubhouse. From all I've heard about Charlie Morton, he's a good dude. They love a good teammate.
He's always a pain in the ass for the Phillies, it feels like.
Yeah, I don't quite know what he's going to provide for a postseason run, but type of guy that you just like to have in your locker room. All right, guys, let's run through a couple of the trades real quick, and then we'll give our reaction to what seems to be the Phillies trade deadline. As you talked about, VG, Yankees get Bednar for 2 catching prospects and an outfielder. I wanted to talk about the Mets because the Mets felt like there was for a while like punch counter punch with the Phillies. And so the Mets go and get Taylor Rogers, who has been an absolute thorn in the Phillies' right-handed hitter sides. He's really, really good this year. They give up Blade Tidwell and Drew Gilbert, their 10th and 12th prospects, as well as Jose Budo, who's been a pretty good, since moving to the bullpen, has been pretty good. And then the Phillies go and get Jhoan Duran, and then seemingly just like maybe 20, 25 minutes later, the Mets go and get Ryan Helsley for a trio of prospects themselves. They also today went and acquired Cedric Mullins for their 14th and number 30th ranked prospect and Chandler Marsh. I'm not a huge Cedric Mullins fan anymore. I think he was really, really, really good like 4 or 5 years ago. But I will say this. I think the Mets have geared themselves up for a postseason run with solidifying the back end of their bullpen. I think, I know it feels like they gave up a lot for Tyler Rogers, but I think the Mets had themselves a fairly decent deadline.
Especially thinking about competing against the Phillies. Rogers, Helsley, Diaz is legit. That's pretty lights out.
And Ryan Stanek too, right?
Who
I think is healthy at this point. Yeah, it's a really good back end of the bullpen.
I was trying to. I saw those Rogers numbers against the Phillies batters. They're brutal.
Stanek's having a little bit of a difficult stretch recently, but
actually, there's not a huge. It's not a lot of at bats. Trey Turner's had 12 at bats against Rogers. He's batting .083. And like Bohm's only had 5 at bats. Castellanos only had. It's not a big sample size, but he's going to be so annoying just because of the way he delivers the ball. I hate that sidearm with the low sidearm, and he's a Met, and just doing that. It's just going to be annoying to watch.
My absolute pessimistic Phillies fan in me, the first thought about the Mets moves that they've made is that somehow the Phillies' final out of the postseason is going to come at the hands of Gregory Soto.
Oh, don't even
and I think the city is going to go into a collective rage.
I missed that trade a couple days ago, and then I saw he was pitching in the 9th inning for them.
The game, right?
San Diego, yeah.
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 It's like
no,
perfect.
that would be a nightmare. But in fairness, Tyler, like if the Mets put Gregory Soto in there in a must save situation, like a 1-run game,
yeah,
chance, I'd take my chances with that. I'd say, look, either the Phillies are going to take the lead or they're going to strike out all of them.
So the sorry to bounce around a lot. The return for Griffin Jacks just came in.
Yeah.
It's just Taj Bradley.
Wow.
It's just Taj Bradley. So I'm curious. Now, Bradley has more of a history of pitching in the majors than Mick Abel does. Is there a scenario where Griffin Jacks could have been had for just Mick Abel?
Maybe.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and complain about Jhoan Duran.
Yeah, would you have been happier with that, or?
I mean, I love Griffin Jacks. I'm probably higher than Andrew can attest to it. Like how I've sung Griffin Jacks' praises.
Oh yeah,
over the last couple.
Oh
of weeks.
yeah,
I
definitely
love Griffin Jacks, but
very nice MLB Savant page, basically. No, I'm kidding. No, his strikeout rate is crazy.
And yeah, it is a good MLB Savant or baseball Savant page. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, Duran's is pretty good too.
But yeah, I mean, I think if you have the chance to get an elite closer, I'm not going to back it. I'm not going to backtrack on that.
The Twins are just going off. Like the Blue Jays have just acquired Lewis Varland and Ty France from the Twins.
Yeah, that's the thing is like the deadline's over, but you're still going to see these moves trickle in for the next 10 minutes or so.
The Twins have anyone under contract next year? This is amazing.
So it's Buxton and
like one other person.
Who's so all right. So
they got stripped.
All right, so I'm looking at the Twins. If you just Google Twins roster, you know how like names and pictures come up. All right, here's who comes up: Harrison Bader, gone.
Yeah.
Carlos Correa, gone. Joe Ryan's still there. Cody Clemens is the fourth guy on there.
Nice.
Ty France gone. Willie Castro gone. Griffin Jacks gone. Lou Varland, you just brought up, gone. Brock Stewart gone. Jhoan Duran gone. Danny Colomb gone. This is a fire sale of all fire sales in Minnesota.
Yeah. Oh, Matt Gelb not giving us good news.
What's that?
Saying the Phillies are done.
Ugh. Come on, Matt.
All right. So the Phillies are done.
Like it's his fault.
The Phillies seemingly are done. And so what the deadline appears to be is Jhoan Duran and Harrison Bader. I just want to I know we talked a lot about both of those guys. Now that we know it's kind of official, what's your gut tell you?
I just don't think they have enough in the lineup. That's where I sit, and I understand that it was going to be hard at the trade deadline to find one of those players. That's why Suarez, like VG, I was very all in on that because he just felt like the one guy who really was a difference maker in the areas that they really needed in their lineup. I think the Duran trade is good, right? Getting a guy with 2.5 years of team control and a legit closer. I am super excited for him. I'm super excited for his entrance music, the little Undertaker and Daddy Yankee. Yeah, sure. We'll all get into that. So I'm very excited with him, but this lineup, I have seen them time and again struggle the last, not even just during the regular season, but also struggle during the postseason. And I would have tried. I mean, Dave Dombrowski, he gets viewed as a guy who he was the guy who he trades your prospects. He wins you a World Series and then he leaves you in a bad spot after it's over. Right. And you're going to have to rebuild after that. Right. That has been the book on him for most of his career. And he has not really done that. And I'm a little bit disappointed that he was not able to upgrade this lineup because, you listen to him, you read his quotes, and he always says, some of these guys just got to start playing better in this lineup. We're going to need some internal improvement. Some of these guys. And to me, I'm just thinking like, bro, you got agency in this too, right? Like
I have said for 6 months now, I understand that you are kind of not capped. There's no cap, but cap strapped for lack of a better term, understanding that they're at the apron and the draft picks and the tax threshold and all this kind of stuff. If you're feeling that way heading into next year, knowing the money that's coming off the books, even if you're going to reallocate it to Real Muto, reallocate it to Schwarber, think about Suarez or a replacement for Suarez. If you're thinking that way, then a rental makes perfect sense for a shorter window. And I don't love rentals most of the time, but in this particular instance, a rental maybe makes a lot of sense. Suarez is probably the big one, right? And I will say this. I think two things can be true at once. I think the Phillies got better. That's point one. Point two, the Phillies got marginally better. That's point two. So the Phillies got better in the bullpen without question. They acquired one of the elite level closers in baseball, and there is no question in my mind that their bullpen is better today than it was in yesterday's game against the White Sox and moving into the postseason. There's no question about it. They got, I should say they got marginally better offensively. They got marginally better in the outfield where Bader is probably an upgrade to Kepler, is probably an upgrade to Rojas. But now you are thinking about a team that is going to go into a postseason run with a potential platoon in left field, a potential platoon in center field, and a potential platoon in second base. You have 33% of your starting lineup is a platoon lineup. That to me is not good enough when you have the resources, both monetarily, or at least you feel like you do with the Phillies, with an ownership group that says, get me my bleeping trophy and spend stupid money, and a farm system that for the first time in a long time has become respectable. I think this is a fine trade deadline, but I think fans and the team and a lot of the players probably within the locker room were expecting more than fine. And what I feel is underwhelmed at the end of this trade deadline.
Well, and I also, I put the spotlight on Dombrowski, Middleton as a part of this as well, right? Because he's the one who sets the budget. And, the Phillies have spent a lot of money. They're one of the more expensive teams in the league, but, I'm sure he does place some limits. And I can't speak because I don't know exactly, what is being said behind the scenes or whatever, but it's both of them.
I 100% agree. Going into this offseason felt like a cash-strapped offseason where there was budget limits for what Dombrowski could do. I mean, they could have signed Bader this offseason. Wasn't he a free agent?
He was.
Yeah,
signed
so
for $4 million.
Yeah, they could have just signed him instead
and a 10 million mutual next year.
Yeah.
So even if you buy him out, after this year, it would have cost you 6.5.
Yeah.
For the season.
I mean, it's just something just doesn't make sense because everyone's like, oh, Dombrowski, he's all in. This is like the third offseason, the third trade deadline. The first two trade deadlines, they didn't have much, but this is a trade deadline where they had 5, maybe 6, depending on the ranking, 6 prospects in the top 100. I don't know, man. I feel ungrateful in a way because Duran is such an upgrade. He's going to be so fun, and he fills a glaring hole, but this feels so disappointing on the offensive side after what we sat through with the Diamondback series and the Mets series. And this team is just so top heavy, and the top part of it is inconsistent. And you have it just feels like we have 3 holes. So we have almost 3 pitchers batting. It feels like at times with this lineup. I don't know. I am extremely disappointed.
You shouldn't feel bad about being ungrateful. Duran obviously was a great pickup, but we've seen this team regress in the playoffs the last 3 years. And we all know, fans and front office know what they needed. They know that these bats are streaky. They know they can be hot. They know they can be cold. And they needed somebody that can come in there and consistently produce. And they just didn't do that. I don't know what was holding them back. I get it. Andrew Painter, I get there are guys that they saw that they did not want to move.
Getting rid of Painter.
But you could have moved other guys to make, and looking at these trades that have happened throughout the last 2 days, you could have made trades with guys that were there that weren't an Andrew Painter and could have gotten these guys to come in, the bats that you needed to help this team actually win in the playoffs.
So here's my corresponding move that makes me feel a little bit better. In the next 2 weeks, I would like to see a designated for assignment to Max Kepler. And
I'd like to see it in the next 2 days.
Yeah. What are we waiting for?
I'm just being time sensitive to how I think these things work. In the next 2 weeks, I would like to see Max Kepler get DFA'd, and I would like to see Justin Crawford play every day.
I mean, that's the only option. You have to see them.
I think that's the play at this point. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's going to change the complexity of this lineup. But as I've said, I trust Crawford to ascend. And I'm not asking him to hit 300 in the major league level. But if he can give you in his first small sample size 270 with a good OBP and threat to steal in the bags and play good defense, I think I could feel a little more uplifted than I do right now. But I think the words that have been said, disappointed, underwhelmed, frustrated, I think are all relatively fair.
If you tell me they're going to add a 265, 270 singles hitter with some speed, I mean, that doesn't move the needle for me at all for this lineup.
Well,
and you brought up the Houston
compared to right now.
Yeah, sure. But it's like, we're trying to win a World Series. And the Cubbies are going to put up 6 a game. You brought up the Astros. When you get to the World Series, that's going to, how many times have we seen them? We have great pitching and we can't put up runs. I don't know. Seems like we're doing it all over again. We're just running it back all over again.
I agree, man. I totally agree. I think we prioritized the wrong thing.
Rojas still here. It's like 3 years of this guy now.
I know.
I am terrified if Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber have 2 bad games.
Right.
I mean, I just don't
over.
I do not see a way for the rest of this lineup to be able to pick them up and get them one game. Now, the Phillies will say, hey, look, we're going to have the best rotation in every series. And that's probably true. And their bullpen has gotten a lot better. Wasn't all a cheapskate deadline. I mean, David Robertson cost them legit money.
True, that's true.
Didn't cost them prospects, but cost them legit money with the salary with the salary cap threshold that they're in the luxury tax. I think that was $12 million, something like that in total. But I think Andrew said it. I think they prioritized a little bit the wrong thing. And if you want to say Duran is your big bullpen piece, that's fine. But I don't feel great about this lineup heading into October. Justin Crawford's going to have to be really good right away, and that's a lot of pressure on that kid.
It's not fair to a 21-year-old
I don't
kid.
think it's fair. Yes.
No.
So I know that the costs of a lot of these players are varying, right? You talked about Suarez feeling like it wasn't a ton, and then we talked about a lot of the arms and feels like it was a lot in terms of prospect hauls and things like that. I think you have seen a general manager and a president of baseball operations, I guess you should call him, talk about the internal candidates. And when I think about the internal candidates improving, the guys I've watched make improvements over the course of this season, right? So we know Bryce Harper is going to be elite, but Harper had a down April and May and got injured, has come back, has been excellent since returning. That's an improvement, no question about it. He stabilizes the internal, the middle of your lineup internally. I've watched Brandon Marsh play better and take better at bats over the last couple of months. There's no question he's gotten better and has earned more at bats. But I've also watched Max Kepler underperform in left field. I've watched Bryson Stott, somebody who I am very, very high on, wildly underperformed to the fact that he's hitting sub 200 over the last 2 months or so. I've watched, an inconsistent lineup from time to time, as we talked about, score 2 runs or less 31 times in the course of 107 games. If you told me right this second that the Phillies starting rotation was going to carry them with Jhoan Duran and a set bullpen to a deep playoff run, I could get behind it. But I also can get to an understanding of this team could also lose in a wild card round because their offense goes cold.
100%.
I just like to have more outs, right?
Yes.
Can the offense carry you for a couple games? And I think the answer is no. I think you're gonna have to win that one exact specific way, and maybe they do, right? October baseball, very small sample, weird stuff happens, and really you can just get hot for the right couple of weeks, and then maybe we're in the World Series and we're having a lot of fun. But as we stand here right now, I don't feel great about this.
Well,
lineup.
VG, you brought up that it's a wide open National League, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the Dodgers had a plethora of injuries that have really taken their toll on them. They're still a great team, but right this second, they're battling a ton of injuries.
Yep.
The Cubs need starting pitching. Maybe they addressed it with Soroka. Maybe that, I don't know what the plan is, but they needed starting pitching. The Mets needed some bullpen help and to shore up the back end of their lineup, kind of like the Phillies did. Mets got the bullpen help. Mullins, depending on how you feel about him,
Mullins kind of stinks right now.
marginal move, right? I don't
he's got
feel great
some
about
pop.
him.
I mean, he can get hot, and
So to say now, 24 hours after you made that statement of like it's an open National League, I still think it is, and I still think the Phillies have an opportunity to be one of the better teams in the National League. But I think you can feel that way and also be underwhelmed at how this transpires.
I agree they're right there. I just feel like this was a time when they could have found a way to woo somebody and set themselves above the rest of the pack in a way.
I see a lot of Cubs, people that follow the Cubs, like our CHGO crew and all that, not super happy about their trade deadline.
Yeah, I wouldn't be if I was a Cubs fan either. That's pretty underwhelming. I mean, they're way more underwhelming than the Phillies.
So, true or false? A couple questions for you guys. True or false? Harrison Bader is better than Max Kepler.
1,000% true.
So,
True.
Phillies bullpen got better.
True.
Overall, the Phillies got better.
True.
Relative to the rest of the league, I'm not sure.
Well, just individually, in a vacuum.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why do I feel depressed right now? Like to the point of they could have done more. If all of those answers are true, and I think what you just brought up there, Rich, is probably the reason why. I think the reason why is because relative to the National League, other teams also got better. And I think if I went 1-to-1, did the Mets or Phillies get better? I would say the Mets got better than the Phillies got better.
Well, I mean, we're talking about, did the Phillies get better? Sure. They drastically improved a bullpen that was kind of below middle of the pack, and they improved an outfield that was horrendous. So sure, they're better. But when you see what the Padres are doing, it's like, it's going to be that could be a buzzsaw in the playoffs.
So the Padres have improved. The Mets have improved. The Dodgers are still legit. The Brewers are still.
Dodgers are a little quiet.
It was a quiet deadline.
Yeah,
for
but
them.
they're just trying to get healthy. If they get healthy, they're going to be great.
Yeah, and then Brewers have played well. Cubs seem to be, right in the thick of things as well. I think we can sit here and say two things can be true at once. The Phillies got better, and so did most of the rest of the contenders in the National League.
It's going to be a wild stretch run with all those teams bunched together. You're not just playing against the Mets. You're playing against the Brewers and the Cubs. You're playing against the Dodgers and the Padres potentially with their improvements as well.
Yeah, and I think we looked it up this morning. I think Cubs, Padres, Dodgers have the 3 easiest strength of schedule remaining.
They do.
So the Phillies' remaining schedule, just really quickly, and then we'll hit our next break. Remaining as we turn the calendar to October, Detroit Tigers, playoff team.
Yep.
Baltimore Orioles, not sellers at the deadline.
Yeah.
Texas Rangers, playoff team.
Yep.
Cincinnati Reds, playoff team. Nationals, not. Seattle Mariners, playoff team. Nationals, not. Mets, playoff team. Braves, not. So in the month of August, they're going to play 6 series against playoff teams that are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 of their 27 or 28 games are going to be against playoff teams. September, Brewers, playoff team. Marlins, not, but playing better baseball as of late, close to 500. Mets, playoff team. Royals, 500, not in the playoffs right this second. Dodgers, playoffs. Diamondbacks were sellers. They'll probably not be very good by the time they get there. Again, Marlins once again. And then assuming the Twins field a roster, they'll play the Twins at the end of September. There's quite a few playoff caliber teams or playoff teams currently on the Phillies schedule for the next 2 months. Phillies did exactly what they were supposed to do in May and racked up a ton of series wins, or in May and racked up a ton of series wins against bad teams. Now you're going to start, you've started to do it in June. You started to get it in July. It's going to continue into August and September. It's going to be,
I believe they're 25-25 since June 1st.
Yes.
Which it just feels like not only have they had some underwhelming games, but there's just been a lot of games that have felt very winnable where, Tyler, you mentioned that whole Astros series. Like, come on, like, just scratch a run
One
across.
good hit. One good hit.
And you win. I mean, I would even put the Luzardo start last week against the Red Sox. Like, they played well enough to sweep that team. They played well enough to sweep the Yankees, and Wheeler struggles a little bit. And then you lose 2 out of 3 to the White Sox. It just feels like even when they're playing okay, they can't get the result that they need.
They're 6-6 since the trade deadline you brought up, right? 25-25 in their last 50. I think, would it quell your guys' concerns if they took like 10 of the next 12? If they went from 61-47 to like 71-49, is that a sizable enough stretch to feel good about where they're at?
I would feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I think you need a run, is what you got.
And it's how it happens too. I mean, how's Marsh continue to look? Is Stott any better? How's Bader looking the lineup?
I will say the tenor of the season is much different from last year because they were in cruise control for all of August and September, and they weren't even playing that well. But it was basically like, all right, you go up to Citi Field, the Mets are chasing you. All you got to do is win 1 of 4, right? That's all you got to do. It's not going to be that way this time. They're going to have to go get it, and they're going to have to play better baseball going into the playoffs. So is that the more optimistic way to look at it? Yeah, I guess I'm spinning it a little bit because it means they're not as good as they were at this point last year. But yeah, they're going to have to go get it this year.
I'm looking at the standings. The Brewers, I mean, I don't always put a lot of stock in the record versus teams with a winning record, but the Brewers are 34-21 versus teams over 500. And there's no one even close to that kind of success.
They just continue to win.
It's crazy.
They're going to face some playoff questions, though.
I think they will. There's no question about it.
Well, their bullpen, I think, is the weak spot. Their starting lineup's good, and the bottom half of their lineup is, I mean, everyone's bottom half of the lineup, I feel like, is a little shaky.
Their big issue has been the wild card round. I mean, for them, getting one of those top 2 seeds is going to be a big deal.
All right, let's pause for just a moment. Got about a half an hour left. Lively chat. Thanks so much for everybody being a part of today's show. We'll continue the conversation. We'll take a look at some of the later breaking news moves that came in. And we'll do that all right here next on the PHLY Phillies podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll be right back after this.
All right, let's talk about our friends Empire Today, the flooring people, the flooring experts. And just like your team needs a home court field ice advantage, your home needs a good floor advantage because the floor is where it starts. It's the foundation. Everything builds around the floor. And Empire Today is there to help you because they got flooring experts, dedicated professionals who all they do is flooring. They think flooring 24/7. Not like the big box stores where you walk in, if you can even find someone to help you, you can't get any good advice. They don't know what tools you need. They don't know what samples are there, how to handle anything because they might have been doing lumber yesterday. They may have been doing electricity the day before. That's where Empire Today is completely different. They live, they breathe flooring, and they're with you every step of the way. They're flooring experts, and check this out. They bring the showroom right to your house. They got a virtual showroom designer. You pick out some flooring samples. They take pictures of the room you're going to put the floor in, and you see if you like it. See if it matches. The colors go. Is the lighting good? Is the flooring too dark, too bright? They're with you the whole way, so they take all the guesswork out of it. So with Empire Today, also, you get clear upfront pricing, all-inclusive, and check this out. If the flooring you pick out is in stock, you can get installation as soon as the next day. That's unheard of because nobody likes to wait. So schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners, you can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code PHLY. Yes, you heard that right. $350 discount simply for using the code PHLY. So check them out. Restrictions do apply, but visit EmpireToday.com/PHLY for full details.
All right, guys, it's been hot, right? the last couple days.
Yeah,
Like, super hot.
ridiculous.
So you want to take? I said this to Andrew yesterday. You want to take a guess? I walked into my mom's house the other day. You want to take a guess at what the thermostat was set at?
Oh wait, how old's your mom?
She is of
I don't have to guess the exact age.
she's double my age.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna say 79.
It's 83 degrees. in her house.
83.
Not because she wanted it to be, but because the AC is just struggling right now. My mom loves to be in the
man.
cold.
She does?
Loves to be in the cold.
Poor mom. She must be suffering.
Let me rephrase
that
it.
fixed.
Loves the warm weather, but
Yeah.
loves the AC.
Yes,
Her
yes.
AC's been struggling. I said, Mom, you might have to head on over to Ace Hardware Home Services because
Yeah.
like your AC's 25 years old. It's been the same one since I've lived in that house.
Wow, that's
Might-
a good run.
Might be time to get a new AC. So
Yeah.
whether it's an air conditioner and it's really hot out, you got to get that fixed, or something small like an outlet or something that you just don't feel comfortable fixing, whether it's electric or plumbing or whatever it might be, head on over to Ace Hardware Home Services because they've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. They bring that helpful hardware folks feel right to your front door. Again, it's been super duper hot lately. You don't want to live without your AC if you can. Get them in to take a look at your air conditioner, your unit, and see what maybe they can tweak, or maybe they have to think about a new installation. They bring understanding and expertise right to your home. And of course, they will bring you free estimates on equipment installation and replacement with trusted advisors and options that are best suited for your home and budget. Service you can trust, and of course, satisfaction guaranteed. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project today. Welcome back to the PHLY Phillies podcast. Tyler Zulli, Violations Greg VG. That's Rich Hoffman. Andrew Frazier producing the show. A host of behind-the-scenes crew who are working on our social media and our clips
Killing
and
it.
our graphics and stuff. So big thank you to Chris, Kevin, to Ethan. We appreciate you guys.
Great job.
enormously.
Nice
work.
Can't thank you guys enough for being a part of it.
The muscle.
All right, Ethan's made 1 billion graphics today.
He has.
And as a producer myself, I get frustrated when hosts don't use graphics.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
So let's take a look at some of the trades that have transpired so far. So Andrew, let's go through some of the moves that were made around Major League Baseball.
Sure.
And kind of get an evaluation and a thought on some of these moves. And you can start really anywhere you want.
Yeah, we'll go top to bottom here.
All right, let's do it. All right, Ryan Helsley. We talked a little bit about the Mets getting Ryan Helsley. They give up 3 prospects in exchange for what is a half a year of Ryan Helsley. Down year numerically for Helsley, like the ERA is up a little bit, the WHIP's up a little bit, but has been much better since a little bit of a slow start to the beginning of the season. I think it's a really good move for the Mets. I already laid out. I think the Mets had a good trade deadline, but I think this was a good acquisition for the Mets in part of multiple moves that they've made to solidify their bullpen.
Well, I mean, we talked about how against Rodgers, the Phillies right-handed bats have struggled. Well, Helsley, we've got some good memories against him.
I'm not that scared with Helsley, and he's downward trending. Yeah, that one. Rodgers seems like he's going to be. They had Winker. Was that Winker last year? They just find people that are annoying, and he just seems like with this slow.
Jesse Winker's so annoying.
Yeah. So Rodgers with this slow sidearm delivery, he's going to be super frustrating and annoying. I feel like it.
I don't know how you pitch.
It's ridiculous.
here.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know how you do it. I'm not going to lie to you. I've watched guys do it for years. I don't know how you don't, like, your entire shoulder doesn't fall off your body.
It feels like the Mets, Tyler, that they went a different way with the bullpen than the Phillies. They went a little bit. They went shopped in a different aisle, but they got 2 guys instead of 1, so they have a little bit better depth. And I guess that's because they have Edwin Diaz already back there, so makes sense.
Yeah, Diaz. As you, who I apologize, I forget which one you brought it up, but you said Diaz, Helsley, Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
That's 9 good outs right there, guys.
Yeah.
They're gonna need it because they don't have the length that in their rotation that the Phillies do, but they're loading up. That's a nice bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the rotation, David Peterson's been really good like all year.
Yeah.
Phillies weirdly hit him well.
Kodai
Yes.
Senga, I know, has been hurt for a bulk of the season, but like when
He
he's
gives the
on,
Phillies trouble.
he's
Phillies do not hit
nasty.
him well.
No, yeah.
And then you think about what was it? Who else? They brought back one of the arms. Was it Quintana? It wasn't Quintana.
Minaya.
Minaya brought back Sean Minaya, and he missed a bulk of the season to begin the year too. So it's a
I don't respect that rotation. I know they
and Griffin Canning.
They gave the Phillies trouble, but I think they just got Nick Foles kind of lucky last year. Like I do not worry about the.
Well, I respect
rotation.
Kodai Senga a lot.
Yeah. He's the only one in that rotation that scares me.
And then the other one, I apologize, Andrew, if you could flash that back up on the screen for us, if you don't mind. There's the other one, Tyler Rogers, excuse me. Taylor Rogers was also traded, his twin, multiple times this week. For Tyler Rogers went for Budo, Drew Gilbert, and Blade Tidwell, who both of those guys were formerly pretty highly thought of prospects.
Yeah.
And I like Budo, but again, this is a very, very much improved bullpen for the Mets.
How about the Giants? They've had the worst record in baseball since making the Devers trade.
Crazy, right?
Crazy.
And I roasted
Snake
the
pit.
Red Sox for the return that they got. And maybe Devers is just like a locker room.
Yeah, he seems like it.
They can't play the Phillies in Oracle Park every series.
Right. Hey, Bob Nightingale, real quick. He's saying the Minnesota Twins, they're for sale too, right?
Yes.
They're $440 million in debt, and they just basically traded away their whole roster. And cleared up
10
some
of
debt.
their 26-man roster, I believe, was traded.
Yeah. Maybe that's got a lot
You
to
can
do
see a
with it.
lot of names you've never heard of before. By the way, Phillies made another move, guys. Last-minute move. They got Matt Manning from the Detroit Tigers, and he will be sent to AAA. He's on the
Is that a
40-man
real
roster.
name?
It is a real
Matt
person.
Manning?
It's a creative player.
Yeah. The basic looking guy.
The headshot is just the silhouette.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he'll go to AAA. Devin Sweet was DFA'd. They traded minor league outfielder Yosweth Kinan. I'm butchering this guy's name. I'm sorry. I don't know this guy at all. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Well, I feel a lot better now about this trade deadline with that guy coming in.
Yeah, so Manning, I assume he's
Davis
going
Jones and he needed some action. even
My
if
guess
it was
is that
some low
Manning's going
stakes
to report
action.
to AAA.
Let's say World Series odds are out. Post-trade deadlines are floating around. The Phillies are still second to win the World Series. They're at plus 800. The Dodgers are the clear favorite at plus 240. And you got the Yankees at 850.
They have been respected by the books. The books have generally had them ahead of the Mets.
I think the books
and
are
ahead of-
sipping something.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Andrew thinks the books are sipping something.
I will say this: if I were to take a look at some of the longer odds right now, not the top 2 or 3, I would still consider the Houston Astros. I think that they are just like Thanos; they're inevitable. Like
Well,
they just
they
are.
added Correa today.
Added Correa.
Yeah.
Isaac Paredes is going to miss the rest of the season with the hamstring thing, but they add Correa. He's going to play third. Cam Smith has been really good. He moved to right.
They were trying really hard to add some starting pitching.
Yeah, yeah. I think that they probably could still have used another arm, but Hunter Brown's been elite this year. Framber Valdez still
Valdez has
good.
been ridiculous.
We saw
I would
that. We saw both
Yeah,
of those
yeah,
guys.
I would not rule out the Astros making a run, and I still think if you're looking for a team that, like you brought it up earlier, VG, like a team that can slug in October even if it gets cold because they're going to play in wind and cold. I wouldn't rule the Cubs out just because they might beat you 9-8 in every game.
Yeah.
Tyler, let me ask you a question. What do you expect from Andrew Painter for the rest of the year?
Great question.
That's a really good question. I don't know. I think my expectations are like maybe we'll see him at some point in September, but I don't believe he's going to make any waves on like a playoff roster. I think that you're going to see him more consistently in 2026. I don't know if the Phillies will do that stupid thing where they keep guys down long enough to prevent the Super 2. But I think you'll see him in a much greater capacity in 26. I don't expect much, I think.
So he had his best outing in a while last night.
Yeah.
Let's say he strings 2 or 3 more together.
Then I think you start considering it. Yeah.
Then you start to consider it?
Yeah.
Yesterday was an interesting game because I watched it while I was doing some work. It was very breaking ball heavy. So he was giving up a lot of contact. He only had 4 strikeouts, not a lot of dominant pitching. Like the fastball wasn't everywhere. So it was a ton of breaking ball, but I guess
think he was working on something.
Yeah, it definitely felt like that. And the best thing, I guess, his 103rd or 104th pitch was up near 98 still. So he's got velocity.
You said it.
130
pitches.
104.
Yeah.
That's
The minor league guys who were doing the Woo Sox, they were just like the broadcast
Sox.
team. Yeah, they were like, they couldn't believe he was coming out for the 7th inning with like 94 pitches.
Has he pitched against the Woo Sox like 8 times already this year? I feel like they play each other every 2 weeks.
Really?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Where was my thought train? My train of thought going?
Breaking on,
Sorry,
working
the
on
Woo Sox
breaking
broke it
ball.
up. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, you're good. Oh, I was just the last thought on the World Series odds. All right, Andrew, let's keep going on some of these moves. I know you flashed one up. Mason Miller, JP Sears heads to San Diego. Leah DeVries and a couple other prospects go back to Oakland. Nomads, Sacramento, Vegas,
Yeah,
Oakland,
right.
whatever. I am surprised that they moved. Like, I said for a while, I don't think that the A's are going to move much of their young core. They really like a lot of the guys they have. Kurtz, Wilson, Soderstrom, Langoliers. They like Rooker. He signed for a reason. Their starting pitching's not good.
Clark, the center fielder.
Yeah, I mean, makes some insane plays in center
can't hit
field.
well, but his.
I still think Lawrence Butler is a part of their future.
Oh, I think they're going to be a good. They got a ton of talent.
Yeah, a lot of really good talent.
On the offensive side, their pitching's weak.
I was surprised that they were going to move Miller until I saw that they got DeVries back, and now you could conceivably look at an infield in a couple years of DeVries, Zach Geloff, Jacob Wilson, and Nick Kurtz. That's a really good infield in 2028.
Wilson and Kurtz are legit.
Wherever they're playing.
Wherever, yeah, right.
Some lucky city will get that infield.
All right, so I think that this is a move that probably benefits both parties. I think Miller immediately helps the Padres, of course, and DeVries, I think, is destined to be a really good middle infielder for the A's.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right, next one. This one happened a while back. Josh Naylor was kind of almost like the opening salvo of the trade deadline.
This happened early.
Mariners get Josh Naylor in exchange for 2 prospects. Naylor's an interesting one because he got moved this offseason. The Christian Walker signed in Houston. The Diamondbacks acquired Naylor with the expectation of they were going to be good. I thought the Diamondbacks were going to be really good after they got Burns and had the offense scored 900 plus runs last year, guys, and missed the postseason.
Right.
Because they gave up like 850. So they get Burns, stabilized the starting rotation. Justin Martinez was healthy and now he's not. And Burns was healthy and now he's not. And that's kind of been the thought.
That crushed them, the Burns.
Oh, it killed them.
Yeah.
And Naylor, I think all they gave up was Slade Ciccone for Josh Naylor when they sent him to Cleveland. But only a half a year in Naylor, he gets sent to Seattle. And I think that Seattle gets a solid power hitting first baseman. Not a great defender by any means, but a solid power hitting first baseman for a team that was very much looking for pop, and they bring in both Naylor and Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah, I like that lineup. Yeah. Rodriguez, Raleigh, Suarez, Rosarena, Naylor.
I mean, they've had the pitching for a couple years. They got the bats now. It seems like
lineup.
Yeah,
they got some pop in that lineup.
Yeah, they do.
All right, what else we got, Andrew? Who else haven't we taken a look at just yet? I mean, we've talked about pretty much everybody. This was an interesting one too because the Reds definitely needed a third baseman. And they got an elite level defender.
Yeah, he's like a Freddie Galvis.
Can't hit.
Yes.
I was kind of surprised at this one. And like Rogers is a good major league reliever. You saw him get flipped to the Cubs. But I believe Stufel, I believe is the prospect's name was the Reds. Stafora, I apologize. Was the Reds' 9th ranked prospect to give up for a third baseman who's an elite defender, but like legitimately platinum glove winner type defender,
100%,
but can't hit.
Yeah,
surprising move by the Reds.
I would agree with that. I thought the Reds they should be better than they are. I mean, I know they've been playing well lately, but they seem like a team that needs a little more offense. So yeah, I don't know. The Hayes doesn't bring anything except the glove. He feels like Freddie Galvis.
I thought like when the Yankees got McMahon, I thought they might be in on Hayes because of what we talked about with McMahon. And then the fact that like Hayes can run into one if he gets a hold of one and like, oh wow, Brian Hayes hit 10 home runs since being a Yankee because they play in a sandbox and then get the elite level defense.
What a ridiculous ballpark.
Now McMahon might do the same thing. Dude, I texted a buddy, he's a diehard Yankees fan. I'm like, dude, your ballpark's a joke. He's like, yeah, so's the manager. That was his Yankees fans.
It's like we don't care about that. I just care that Judge's stats are insanely inflated. I mean, come on. Some of those Otto Kemp home runs, like hey, look, I love Otto. Like good swings, they would be doubles at CBP, but like, come on,
that was not even.
They were like 8 rows deep at Yankee Stadium.
What is that? Ivan Biggin. The Phillies totally blow.
All right, what's next, Andrew? What do we got? Any more?
I think we're done here.
Zach Littell goes to the Reds.
People love that Saranowski guy. I mean, he's a baseball savant.
Yeah,
freak, isn't he?
I'll be honest, I don't know a thing about the guy.
Yeah, I think he's young, but I think he throws hard.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I like Littell. I think Littell's a good pitcher. But I don't know a thing.
Oh
about
yeah, I would, because you're good on that site. I would love for you to check him out and see what you think of that. Because I was reading a lot of people are hyped on Saranowski.
Are you surprised that the Rays of all teams bought with Jackson? 5 games under 500.
It was funny. Like when the Phillies played the Rays in what was it, May? I looked at them and I'm like, dude, this team blows.
And then they had
they went on a run. That was like, okay, maybe they don't. And I'm glad the Phillies played them in May instead of July. And now they've kind of been on a little bit of a dip again. I just don't know. I don't think the Rays know what they are. I think the Rays have a really talented young pitching staff with, whenever McClanahan's healthy, right? But I think Boz has been pretty good so far this year. They moved on from Taj Bradley, but I just don't think the Rays quite know what they are because I look at their lineup too. I'm like, Aranda can hit, Diaz can hit, a Rosarena prior to trading him last year was like a Rosarena can hit. And I'm like, this team like feels like they've got a lot of talent, but haven't quite put it all together just yet.
Does Jax have a couple years left of control?
Jax, I believe, is pretty team friendly. I think it's almost along the same lines as Duran. I think it might be 2 years of arbitration left.
Well, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
then.
2 years of arbitration, 2028 free agent.
Here's a John Heyman reporting the Brewers have acquired Jordan Montgomery and Shelby Miller from the D-backs.
Wow.
I didn't know you could take on a guy on the 60. Montgomery's on the 60, isn't he?
I don't know.
But Shelby Miller had been really good prior to the injury. We had Derek
because the Brewers have a decent staff.
Yeah, I mean, we had Derek Montilla on from the PHNX Diamondbacks pod a couple weeks ago, and he was like, I don't know where the Diamondbacks bullpen would be without Shelby Miller. Like, he was brought in to be an arm, and he ended up being kind of their de facto closer after Martinez went down, Puck went down. Like, the Diamondbacks have lost a lot of manpower to the 60-day IL this year. But yeah, I mean, Shelby Miller was really good before he spent some time on the IL. All right, Kyle Finnegan to the Detroit Tigers. I will say this: I don't like Kyle Finnegan.
Why?
And I think this might be my recency, or not my recency bias, my Phillies bias. The Phillies seem to hit Kyle Finnegan more times than not, and then I watch him pitch against other teams, and he's really, really good.
Yeah.
Kobe took him deep last year in that game.
I am not a huge Kyle Finnegan guy, despite the fact that like he's everyday Finnegan, right? Like he's the guy that comes out and pitches every single day for you. 4.3 ERA this year. A little bit of a down year numerically, but like I don't know. I just look at Finnegan and
You
I'm like,
hate him, but I mean, if he was the setup guy for Duran, you'd be okay with that, right?
probably, yeah, probably. Yeah, and I think all of his numbers are going. The expected numbers are much better than the actual numbers, but like the 4.3 ERA kind of deters me a little bit. Strikeout numbers have started to come down. He's been about a strikeout per inning guy. He's a little bit under that this year. But I don't know. There's just something about Kyle Finnegan I'm not a huge fan.
You can kind of say the same about Mason Miller this year too, right? ERA's a little up, strikeouts a little down.
Yeah, but at least with Mason Miller, like I'm not getting a 33-year-old who throws.
True.
And Finnegan's still throwing 96. Don't get me wrong. But like I'm getting a 20. What's Miller? 24. Who's throwing 100?
Maybe 26.
I'd feel much better about that. Yeah. All right. What's the next one we got, Andrew? Bednar to the Yankees in exchange for a pair of prospects. We talked about this one a little bit. I think both teams in New York did a good job solidifying their bullpens this week.
Why were you not as high on Bednar?
I think it was probably more so the start of the year. Because he got sent down at one point and it wasn't a send down like, dude, you're cooked. It was a send down like, dude, get your head right. And he came back up, which has been much better since then. Again, I think with the contract, I believe is he expiring?
No, I looked it up before.
Oh, he wasn't.
He's got a couple years left of team control. Maybe one more year.
Okay, never mind. So I don't know. I think maybe it was just again, it's a guy who throws really hard, gets a lot of strikeouts. I think the early portion of the season scared me away. Last year, 5.7 ERA, so it was like a full season plus the early point, and I thought maybe, okay, this guy might not have it anymore. But I mean, has been really, really good since that bad March and beginning of April. Posted a 0 ERA in June, had a 0.96 in July. Like post All-Star break, he's won 5. He's been really good numerically. I don't know. I just feel like I would be worried about that revision.
I mean, I can't tell you why I don't like him either. It's just like I don't know. I'm close. Like I have a bunch of Pittsburgh fans, so maybe because I'm paying attention. I don't know. It just feels like I take skiing, obviously, but it just feels like
Yeah, I mean, Bednar since the start
like a funk organization.
Since the start of June has given up 1 earned run.
I know.
He's been really, really good.
He pitches in an empty ballpark.
That's my point. The degree of pressure.
Yeah.
You could not go from. I mean, it is night and day.
Yeah.
From what he's about to go
from Pittsburgh to New York.
From Pittsburgh.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said no. Like if they got Bednar, I'm like, okay, it's a good move. But again, I think if I'm ranking the closers that were available, he probably slots like
Sure, he's definitely an
5th or
upgrade from what they
6th.
had. Yeah.
All right, we got any more? All right, let's Cedric Mullins. We haven't talked much about the Cedric Mullins move.
So is he going to be a platoon for them, or what's the deal? Is he going to be their everyday center fielder?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So the Mets, I'm trying to remember who the Mets have been using in center field. I think it's been like a combination of Tyrone Taylor's been out there a good bit. I guess Jeff McNeil's probably played a little bit of center over the season so far. So my guess would be, McNeil probably is able to, I don't know, because obviously Soto's entrenched in right and Nimmo's in left, right? Yeah. So I guess maybe it's a
decent amount of Tyrone Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, is it a Taylor Mullins platoon and McNeil finds another spot to play? I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that question is. Is he brought in to be a fourth outfielder, a bench piece? I mean, you gave up a lot for a bench piece if that's the case.
Tyrone Taylor has a 553 OPS and 268 at bats.
Yeah, so he's not having a great.
He's not hitting. No question about it. He's a really good defender.
Easy spot to upgrade.
Who's not hitting. So I guess you're probably going to get more Mullins.
Which is why, because Mullins isn't a great defender. He's slow. His arm's not great.
But it's funny. Then you watch him from time to time, and he makes elite level plays.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, Tyrone Taylor's in the 99th percentile of arm value and the 90th percentile of outs above average. Like you would sacrifice an upgrade offensively for a downgrade defensively.
Yeah.
Tyrone Taylor's slug is 295.
Not great, Bob.
Not his average or his OBP. His slug is 295. Like, so you're getting a slight upgrade, right? Power's there with Mullins. You go from 2 home runs to like, I don't know, what's Mullins have, like 14 or 15, I would guess. Average raise is probably about 25 points. So I think you get better offensively, but
I feel like 9 of Mullins' home runs were in the first 2 months. And
they probably were. I mean, he had a torrid start to begin the year. All right, we got one more break to hit, so let's pause for just a little bit. We'll wrap this thing up. It is the PHLY Phillies trade deadline show. Phillies trade deadline is come and gone. Well, the trade deadline for everybody's come and gone. They've acquired Harrison Bader and Jhoan Duran. We continue to discuss that. We'll continue to look around the league and see who got better, see who probably could have made a couple of more moves. But we'll do that all in the final 10 minutes of the show. It's the PHLY Phillies podcast. We'll be right back after this.
And guys, let me tell you about our friends at Dudat Dental. Guys, your smile says a lot. Let us introduce you to the team that helps you say exactly what you want with your smile. Meet the Dudat Dental Group. This is the team trusted to care for one of our city's greatest assets, the Philadelphia Eagles. And now entering their 5th season as the official dentist of the Philadelphia Eagles, Dr. D and his team have proudly served Philadelphia and its fans for over 20 years. They do it all, from robotic implant surgery and Invisalign to veneers, emergencies, and so much more. Locally owned and operated, Dr. D is a proud graduate of North Penn High School and the Temple University School of Dentistry. His commitment to the health and confidence of our community runs deep. So guys, whether you're an MVP or just a lifelong fan, this is the team you want caring for your smile. Check them out at PhiladelphiaEaglesDentist.com. That's PhiladelphiaEaglesDentist.com, and discover how you can smile like the birds.
All right, if you're looking for the most affordable 7-passenger SUV in America, CherryHillMitsubishi.com has you covered with the 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander. So take advantage of their 0% APR financing for 60 months for PA residents only, or you can take home a 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage with payments starting as low as $55 a week with 0 down retail. That offer is not valid with the trade-in. It's also subject to credit approval by a third party, so not all applicants may qualify. You want to combine those numbers with some other great numbers. The best warranty in the automotive business, 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain, and 5 years, 60,000-mile bumper to bumper. Why settle for a lesser warranty and be on the hook for costly repairs down the road? Listen, I know people buy Mitsubishis elsewhere. I just don't know why. Stop in today, tell them PHLY sent you, and receive a $100 restaurant gift card just for taking a test drive or for completing a trade-in appraisal. Drive home in your new Mitsubishi today, just minutes from all bridges, and available online at 24/7 at CherryHillMitsubishi.com. All right, welcome back to the PHLY Phillies podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Non-baseball news today, guys. But apparently wide receiver, Washington Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin has asked for a trade.
Love it.
As things just continue to go in the Eagles' direction.
The rest of the teams in the division are such a mess.
I think they're taking a step back this year. They got too many old guys on that team.
The Commanders?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Here's what's sad. The Yankees traded for 7 major league players today and didn't trade one top 100 prospect.
So the Yankees got 7 major league players, which means obviously they're going to have to make some corresponding moves. I'm going to take a look really quickly at their 25, and we got some super chats to get to end the show. Let's take a look at their active roster and kind of discuss some of the guys that are going to definitely still be there, right? Max Fried, Tim Hill, Carlos Rodon, Will Warren, Luke Weaver, Devin Williams, Jonathan Loaizaga, I think will probably still stay. They really like Cam Schlittler. They only have one catcher currently on the active roster. It's Austin Wells. I don't think many of their offensive players are going to go anywhere, but I do think that the Yankees 26 is going to look significantly different, right? 7 players brought in. I think that team's going to look a lot different in the next 48 hours or so.
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, the Fraser can't take him. Can I just read the super chat now and get out of the way?
Yeah, go ahead.
Super chat from 24 CCAZ. Dombrowski got us a dog poop wiffle bat invader. A dog poop emoji wiffle bat.
You ever seen professional wiffle ball?
Yeah.
Dude, that's legit. I watch these guys play and I'm like,
yeah, those pitchers are not.
I don't know if Major League
how they hit it. I don't know how they
You were laughing first.
All right. I got
We spent 2 hours talking about it, and I gotta say the dog poop wiffle bat.
summed up nicely in 30 seconds.
Well said, yeah.
I listen, I think Bader's an upgrade.
We said meh. He said dog poop.
Meh.
Yo,
Underwhelming.
The other one,
Dog
too,
poop.
The super chat from Frank. Boo. Love Duran. Bader is meh. Overall grade, just not good
Yeah,
enough.
Bader is meh. And I think
He
it's
is.
an overall okay trade deadline. For a team with World Series aspirations, it's probably not enough.
So let me read you a tweet. I believe Dave Dombrowski is having a press availability on Zoom right now.
Yeah.
So this is from John Clark. He says, Dave Dombrowski says he believes Justin Crawford is ready to play at the major league level.
Same.
But he needs to play, and Dave says he is not sure the Phillies have the capability to play him full-time at this time.
That's where sorry, I didn't want to do it into the microphone. I just feel like I'm banging my head against the wall.
Oh my
Sorry,
gosh.
I didn't want to do it into the microphone, so that's why I backed up.
Hey, I feel the same way.
What else do you need to see for this guy to play every day? He hits 300 everywhere he goes. Bleep the launch angle nonsense. The dude hits everywhere he goes. He's a good defender. He's a plus base runner. He's an athlete who's going to make you better. What else do you need to see?
Well, where does he play?
Left field every day.
You don't rotate Marsh and...
I rotate Bader and Marsh.
Oh, I think Bader. You don't think Bader's an everyday player here?
I think he's probably going to be. I
I
think
think that's the plan.
I think that. Listen, that's just what I would do.
Yeah.
And he's got a rocket for an arm, like the Jay Buhner, Frank Costanza. No, Tyler, I completely agree with you. That really frustrates me. I mean, hey, we spent 20 minutes talking about if you're not going to make the move, then I would like to see Justin Crawford sink or swim
and play.
And when Dave says he's not sure they have the capability to play him full time, I think if you would have made another move and gotten like a bat, then fine. I would have understood that explanation.
Exactly.
But with the players that you have on this roster right now, I'm not buying that.
So the prospects that the Phillies parted with today: Eduardo Taiit, number 3, Mick Abel, number 6. Now, I think I've always been a big believer in like when a prospect gets major league ready, like they got to graduate faster. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but like prospect rankings, like you've been in the big leagues for 4 weeks, like you're not a prospect anymore, in my opinion,
for sure.
But Abel's number 6, and then Hendry Mendez ranked somewhere like 10, 12-ish range.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you did what you needed to do in protecting your big-time prospects, and I think you could have done more while still also protecting your big-time prospects. Like, I don't think you needed to give up Crawford, Painter,
or Miller,
Escobar, Miller.
No.
And it seems like those 4 are probably the ones that they feel they really, really like.
Why are you bringing up process? Why I got you here? Can I ask you about this other catcher they got, 17-year-old.
Yeah, I saw the
Anderson
numbers.
Arahu?
Yeah, I don't know him
You don't
very
know?
much. I don't know much about
He's
him.
got power numbers. He's 17.
Yeah, the
playing
Phillies
rookie.
catcher?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You talking about Alario Farabis, him?
No, it's Anderson Arehu. He's a 17-year-old in the rookie
yeah,
affiliate
they actually
league.
have two because I think Rich, you brought up the other one, right? This guy's hitting 291. The guy you're talking about.
I
Yeah.
could be completely
Got like
wrong.
7 or 8 dingers.
7 home runs, 22 RBIs, 10 stolen bases too. So a little bit of
His offense
movement.
looks similar to Taillon.
943
You're younger,
OPS.
yeah.
And then I think Rich, you brought up the other one, and I apologize, I forget his name,
Yeah,
but they're sitting like 271, I think, and was like young, 19-ish years old.
He was basically splitting the catcher job with Taillon in Clearwater.
So maybe you feel a little bit better about moving Taillon.
Yeah,
I love Taillon, but like it didn't. to get Duran, I understand why you made
totally.
the move.
And,
Ah.
and it made sense that that's the guy that they traded, just because these next 2 years,
Sure.
Yeah.
they're the most important ones, and he's not going to help you.
No.
Well, and I think
No.
I said earlier in the day, like this signals to me that JT Realmuto is coming back, but I don't think that like that moves.
He was
they're-
always coming
They're
back.
separate. Like he's 19 years old. He's
Yeah.
not going to be in the big leagues next year. I think JT's back no matter
Yeah,
what.
there's no other options. There's the catcher market's so thin.
We've been disappointed with this trade deadline. I would be remiss if I didn't say JT's July was
Really good.
encouraging. Very
really
encouraging.
good.
Awesome. And that one play where he caught the ball and tagged him out. Shoo.
All right, guys, we're just about out of time. I know Chris Frez, our social media coordinator, put up a tweet on the PHLY Phillies account. And the question was, trade deadline has officially passed. What grade do you give Dave Dombrowski? 41 responses already on this one.
I saw the replies.
Responses have ranged from B+, like fairly serviceable grades,
Okay.
to F minus 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 minus.
I didn't see a ton of B+.
F is for friends who do stuff together, the SpongeBob quote. F as he can bleep off his GM after this year. A lot of D minus. There's been some C's and some B's, but not overall, not a very insufficient out of 10. Elite closer, cool. Glaring needs still. Given the lack of offensive talent traded around the league, A minus. So some love, D plus. Bottom line, Phillies get a closer and a right-handed outfield bat. Not the type of bat, but they wanted, but didn't give up the big prospects. Really high-ranging
Yeah, so
grades.
what do you give?
Tyler, what are you giving him?
Yeah.
And no grade inflation. C is average.
C.
From 8F.
Yeah, I think it's straight on the money C, because I think Duran is a legit like A-tier move, and Bader doesn't do very much for me. But they did get a right-handed bat, so like a D move. And I think if you kind of balance the two out, I would go somewhere in the C plus range.
I give it a B. I think Duran is just so good, and Bader's an upgrade. I give it a B. But then when you compare it to the rest of the league, I mean, the Padres get an A plus. They do it every year, but every year they seem to do it.
Yeah.
Kept their top three from. I don't know baseball all too well, but it sounds like the Phillies kept their top three prospects and added their closer.
Yeah,
They did.
yeah.
By the way, baseball trades are so cool in that regard, just because you don't know.
No clue.
There's these very valuable players that you have no idea how good they're going to be in the pros. And
the
like
hit
Chris
rates-
said, you can mortgage your future or actually go all in with guys who aren't going to really pan out.
And the hit
for the
rate's
most
not
part.
high. Like of the top 100 prospects, like 11 to 15% become like all-stars, if that. Like
I love it.
not a
I
high
think-
number.
I've talked about even with the draft, right? The draft is such a crapshoot where up until very recently,
Yeah.
like, do you guys know how many number 1 overall, not first round picks, number 1 overall picks have been elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame?
No, I mean,
4.
That's crazy.
Since 1961, I believe, was Rick Monday was the number 1 overall pick in 1961. Chipper Jones, Ken Griffey Jr., Harold Baines was recently inducted in the like committee, whatever the history committee was, because his
Backdoor Hall. of
yeah,
Fame.
his time had passed. And then there was one more, and I apologize, I forget who it was, but so it was 1965. Rick Monday was the number 1 overall pick, and in that time there have been and Joe Mauer was the most recent, so 4.
oh, wow.
In that time, 4 number 1 overall picks have been
Twins might need
elected
him.
That's
to
crazy.
the Hall of Fame. And you know, there's some guys that like is A-Rod a Hall of Famer? You can have the steroid debate, right? Like A-Rod probably should be a Hall of Famer. But like in the last 20 years, for every Joe Mauer, there are 5 Brian Bullingtons
Mickey Moniak.
and Matt Bushes and Lou Kochevers and Mickey Moniaks, right? Like David Price, number 1 overall pick. Very, very good. Not going to the Hall of Fame. Steven Strasburg, number 1 overall pick. Hype was amongst the greatest of all time. Injuries derailed his career. Does Bryce Harper get elected? He may be the next guy. How about Garrett Cole? Is he the next guy? Like, there's some guys on the way, but like maybe in 15 years, we're talking about Paul Skeens, right? But in the grand scheme of things, you're talking about 4 number 1 overall picks since 1965. 60 years, 4 number 1 overall picks have been elected to the Hall of Fame.
But I think that level of uncertainty, when you couple it with also, you know, the slot value and how, because basically the Phillies past draft, it was, okay, the 2 most important guys by a mile are the first pick and the 7th round pick. You know?
Right.
And that's just the way it works. That's not an uncommon thing in baseball. Yeah, no, I find the whole prospect idea, it makes it such a more interesting sport to follow from a team building perspective, where you have somebody like AJ Preller who's like, look, that's great that we've developed these guys to this point, but we're pushing our chips in, and we're trying to win right now. And then you have a bunch of other teams that are like, look, we can't trade our top 5 prospects because, you know, that's the only way we're going to be any good is with cheap talent.
All right, I'm going to read you one more tweet, and then my head's going to explode. Ty Daubert, reporter for Phillies Nation. Ty does a great job. Tweets this out a minute ago. Dave Dombrowski on Max Kepler after trading for Harrison Bader. Quote, this is on Kepler. He's playing left field for us at this time. He's actually been swinging the bat a little bit better, particularly versus right-handed pitching, but he's part of our roster at this time. I guess you could look at this one of 2 ways. The first one being Kepler's staying and they're committed to Kepler.
Yeah.
Or does at this time multiple times hold any value to you guys? Does that mean we're still in evaluation?
Combined with the Crawford statement, who knows? I'm so confused.
So, I mean, if we want to be generous to Dave Dombrowski,
Why would we want to?
I don't want to.
3 years now.
I don't want to be. So the idea that they don't have a spot for Crawford, that would just mean that Marsh is a full-time player and Bader is a full-time player.
Sure.
Yes.
Or
Bader's a full-time player and Kepler's one of the 2, right? Whichever,
I mean,
2 of 3 are full-time players.
And if they're going, maybe, I mean, they have no left-handed pop off the bench. Kepler gives you some hope of that, I guess. He's the 4th outfielder.
So Marsh is an everyday player, and maybe Kepler and Bader.
I have no issue if Kepler is your 4th outfielder and you're looking for what you just brought up, but not as a platoon piece, truly a bench bat.
Right.
And he's already being seed about, oh, my playing time was promised. And, well, dude, you're hitting 203. I don't want to hear it.
Meanwhile, he's played like 89% of the games.
Played in a ton of games.
You're not hitting righties, and there's more of them.
Right.
Don't complain about not playing against lefties.
He is currently, at this moment, hitting 205 against righties and 196 against lefties.
That's his legacy to me. The guy who B and C'd about that. I mean, come on.
So
I like B and C.
If it's Kepler and Marsh in left and Bader in center, or Kepler and Rojas in center and Bader in left, or Kepler and Marsh in left and Bader. There's way too many platoons for a team that needs to be in playoff. That's the point. Is there's too many platoon conversations for a team
for a World
that
Series
wants to be a World
Series contender. 100% agree.
I completely agree with what you said earlier. I like how Brandon Marsh, his approach and how he's swinging the bat.
Much better.
He can be in a platoon. In
agree.
If you can get a right-hander to pair with him,
probably Bader, right?
Yeah. That's fine.
And then you're going to do Crawford every day?
Then you have a thing called left field that you have to figure out.
Right.
And I don't like your options.
I'm getting more and more angry as the show goes on, so maybe we pause it. Andrew's got a date coming up.
Oh,
and let him go have a good time.
That's why he was looking good.
Yeah, he's looking.
All right. Maybe she's watching.
So Andrew tweeted out a terrible looking picture of Dombrowski, and their first reply is, Andy McPhail is strong in this one.
So if Kepler's not going anywhere, to me, the only other corresponding move is that Jhoan Rojas is going to get sent down to AAA, right? Or I guess unless they want to put Weston Wilson
it's gotta be Weston
and have
Wilson.
nothing but outfield bench pieces. But if they do bring up Crawford, then the next move would be Rojas, it seems, in this capacity.
It feels like they're in love with Rojas. He's been
Why?
here way too long.
Why? Why are they in love with him?
I don't get it.
All right. Other than us getting more angry
Hey,
as
what
the
do you
hours
give it,
go
though?
on.
Did you give him a grade?
Oh, I apologize.
I'm going to give him a C+.
C+.
All right,
C+.
so yeah,
I-
we're in the same
I
range.
thought the Duran move, that's a good move. That's
great move.
That's legit. And I thought the price they paid, especially because and Tyler like was following all the rumors. He was talking about how, you know, the reliever market is just out of control. And frankly, it was out of control with at least one reliever going to San Diego.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty, like, as somebody who always gets afraid about the prospects that we're trading, even though I completely understand the Phillies have been kind of lucky with the prospects that they've traded, let's say in like the last 15 years or so for the most part. I get afraid. I think this is perfectly fine. I'm completely at peace with Mick Abel. Go be that third or fourth starter in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Tait, if you're good, that's awesome. But
Fine.
there's still a ton of projection there. He's a very cool prospect, but he's not ready to help this team, and this team that's on a much shorter timeline. It's just not a fit. So I thought that was absolutely fine. I am super jacked up to watch Durant. I mean, just him running from the bullpen.
It's going to be amazing.
I can't wait for that. But yeah, I mean, I just, the lineup was the biggest issue that this team had. And as good as that Duran move was, let's call that an A or an A minus.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I think you have to bring them back quite a bit. You know what? I think a C. I think I'm bringing it back to a C.
I don't know if the bullpen was the biggest issue. I don't know if the lineup was the biggest issue. The bullpen, I mean, it feels like as a fan watching it, it feels like the lineup's the biggest issue. But maybe their analytics say it's the bullpen.
I don't know. I just thought there were options. Like whoever, there's going to be a starter that's in the bullpen too. Like Ranger
Yeah,
Suarez.
Suarez will probably be in the bullpen.
All right. Well, he's going to be able to give you like 3 innings at a time. Like you could probably throw him in like the 4th or the 5th inning and say, Ranger, we want you to go through the order one time. So I don't know. I just thought there were, like, with the amount of pitching depth in this organization, I thought there were ways to maybe get a little bit more creative with the bullpen.
Sure.
Than with the
Wood.
lineup. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, obviously that's a lot to ask of him, but it was something that
He's been on a big stage.
pretty much everybody mentioned right away that there was a chance he could be a super fast riser and give him a shot. And I just thought there were less ways to be creative with the lineup. I thought there were like a couple guys you could get that could really make a difference, and they didn't do that. So, you know, is the move that they made, if you look at that in a vacuum, is that a good move? Yeah. And even within the context of the bullpen market, yeah, I thought that was a really nice move, but I just don't know. I don't feel great about this lineup. So let's go with the straight C.
All right. So I think that will pretty much wrap up our trade deadline conversation today. It's been a lot of fun. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to you guys for being a part of it. Rich Hoffman, VG, you guys made this a lot of fun. I appreciate it, VG. I know you had an early morning. You got another one tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of it, Rich. I appreciate you being a part of it as well. I want to send out a huge thank you to Andrew Frazier. Andrew has produced all of the Philly shows this year so far for the most part.
Killing it.
Has been with me with all of the emergency podcasts. Has done an excellent job of producing the Philly show and kind of serving as the de facto co-host of the show as well. So a huge shout out to Andrew Frazier as well. And then of course our trio behind the camera who have worked tirelessly, excuse me.
They make it look effortless. They're so good at it. It looks
much effort to make it look effortless.
Yes.
On both the social media side of things, on the graphic side of things. I know sometimes behind the camera doesn't get enough love, but these guys have absolutely crushed it over the year and into the trade deadline. So Chris, Kevin, Ethan, you guys are the best. Thank you all so much for helping us out today.
Yeah.
And Ethan for really last second stepping up to produce the Jhoan Duran emergency pod on the drop of a hat. So big thank you to you guys for all of your help. And of course, the final thank you goes out to everybody who's watched today's show. Whether you were in the chat or you were just kind of lurking and watching, we really appreciate you. This trade deadline has been a lot of fun in terms of content creation. Whether you are excited or disappointed in the trade deadline, we really appreciate you being a part of the show. If you would not mind, just drop a like in the video today before you get out of here. And if you're not subscribed to the PHLY Sports channel, please do so on your way out as well. We are inching closer and closer to the 50,000 subscriber mark, and we would love for you to be a part of it as we continue on our journey here at PHLY. All right, So let's go over some things. Tomorrow morning, Anthony Gargano show, VG, Andrew Frazier, 9 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, we might be drinking Bloody Marys.
I have to imagine that there's going to be some screaming going on tomorrow at some point.
How it goes. Well, Anthony was high on. He likes.
He loved Jhoan. Oh, he did.
Yeah, he thought it would be one package deal for the both of them in one move. Yeah, he liked. Well, I'm curious to see what he thinks.
So 9 a.m., 9 to 11, Anthony Gargano show. Rich, when's the next time we're going to get to hear you? Outside, of course, of the PHLY Daily newsletter, which is an excellent newsletter.
Every morning.
Sign up for free at allphly.com. You get the latest and greatest news from around the city. When's the next time we can hear you on a pod?
Well, I'm filling in all next week with Derek Bodner. We're talking about a very pressing subject, the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, man.
All right,
Very
so
pressing.
Sixers podcast all next week. You get the chance to hang out with Rich Hoffman. And then, of course, the PHY Philly show tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Andrew and I will probably, what's that?
Yeah, damn. That's all right. We'll make it through. Sorry, man. It just hit me. I was like, man, I'm talking about the Sixers all next week. Ouch.
In August.
Do you want to do Phillies off season? Yeah, because that's coming around the corner at some point.
Look, we all deal with it. I mean, with the newsletter, I have a team in season at all times. You always have a team in season. No, I know you have your down period. For sure. Hey, but it's part of the sports calendar.
All right, so PHLY Philly show tomorrow. Andrew Frazier and I will be back 1 to 2. We'll probably rehash a lot of these conversations and take a look at the second half of the season and kind of see where the Phillies stack up against the rest of the National League. But we really appreciate you all for being here. It was a lot of fun. Again, thank you to everybody who was a part of this today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow here on PHLY throughout the day, beginning at 9 a.m. with the Anthony Gargano show and running all the way through 4 o'clock with the 3 o'clock start, 4 o'clock end for the PHLY Sixers. So until that time, we will talk to you tomorrow right here on the PHLY Phillies podcast. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.